You can become the heavenly Tao of a world and fuse the seed of reincarnation into the heavenly Tao. You can complete the heavenly Tao and turn it into reincarnation. You can make the world completely transcend. At that time, you'll be able to obtain great benefits and control an eternal world. That's true immortality and indestructibility. Hongjun ancestor said slowly. Become the heavenly Tao of a world? You want me to replace him? Ling Xiao frowned slightly and said slowly. He understood what Hongjun ancestor meant. The current heavenly Tao of the primordial world could be said to be the emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Replacing the heavenly Tao meant that he would have to kill the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain in order to gain control of the primordial world. That was unacceptable to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, are you worried about the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain? With all due respect, maybe the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain is not as simple as you think. If the seed of reincarnation falls into his hands and he wants to kill you, I'm afraid you will definitely die. Hongjun ancestor said slowly. Do you have any evidence that he will harm me? Ling Xiao frowned. It's just my intuition. But I believe in my intuition, so I don't want you to take risks. Hongjun ancestor shook his head and said, Let me think about it. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and said, Ling Xiao, if I tell you the secret of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain, will you let me go? The device spirit of the wordless book suddenly said, The secret of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain? What do you know? Ling Xiao stared at the device spirit of the wordless book and asked, You have to promise to let me go, then I will tell you. You don't have to threaten me with soul searching. If you don't agree, I will choose to explode myself. The device spirit of the wordless book said with a trace of madness in his eyes. He spoke with great difficulty. It could be seen that the secret he was about to tell was extremely important, so important that he dared to threaten Ling Xiao with death. All right, I promise you. I will let you go as long as you tell me the secret of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and said to the device spirit of the wordless book. The device spirit of the wordless book took a deep look at Ling Xiao, and then he nodded and said, All right. I believe you. Transcendents are not restricted by the Grand Tao, so even if you make an oath, you won't be restricted. I believe I didn't misjudge you. You can tell me now. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He really hated the device spirit of the wordless book to the bone, and he wished for nothing more than to crush its bones and scatter its ashes to vent the hatred in his heart. The sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain is not the spirit of the heaven Tao. The first sentence of the wordless heavenly book shocked Ling Xiao and the others. Even Hongjun ancestor and the space-time Tao Lord were extremely surprised. What do you mean? Ling Xiao asked. The sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain is not the original spirit of the heaven Tao. The primeval world was born within the sea of chaos, and the original spirit of the heaven Tao was heavily injured during the battle of emperors fall in the first era. Later on, the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain devoured the spirit of the heaven Tao and replaced it. Only then was he able to control a portion of the heaven Tao's authority. That's why I said he isn't the true spirit of the heaven Tao. The device spirit of the wordless book spoke slowly. What exactly is the background of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain? A cold glow flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes as he asked this question. He was starting to feel slightly worried in his heart. Shui Wei, Luoluo, Chang Sheng, and the others were under the protection of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain. It could even be said that they had fallen into the hands of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain. If the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain had any ill intent, then the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm afraid all of you are unable to guess the origins of the sovereign emperor of Kunwu Mountain, because he was the former master of the primeval world. The device spirit of the wordless book spoke slowly, and there was a trace of deep fear in its eyes. The master of the primeval world? That's impossible. The primeval world's physical body is in the void world, and his true spirit was probably heavily injured by the seed of reincarnation. I saw it with my own eyes. Ling Xiao said slowly with a frown. Chapter 3402. Ling Xiao and Emperor Qing had seen the body of the Chaos Lord in the primitive world, But the Chaos Lord had lost his primordial spirit at that time. Seriously injured by the seed of reincarnation? If the seed of reincarnation didn't integrate with the power of the heart of the world tree, it would only be a great emperor. How could it be a match for a transcendent? Hongjun ancestor shook his head and said, "That's right. If you don't believe me, you can ask Emperor Qing. He is no match for the Chaos Lord. I think the most likely possibility is that the Chaos Lord obtained the seed of reincarnation and wanted to use it to control the power of the world tree, but he suffered a backlash. His body was left in the primitive world, and his primordial spirit fled back to the primitive world." The wordless heavenly book said slowly, with a strange light in its eyes, "The 10 chaotic treasures were all brought back by the Chaos Lord from the primitive world. It seems that the Chaos Lord had lost his body when he returned. In that case, it may be possible." Hongjun ancestor nodded and said, "The original body of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain is Kunwu Mountain, the first sacred mountain of the human clan, but no one knows how he transformed. If he is really the Chaos Lord, everything can be explained. Actually, there is another way to verify it, and it's very simple." The wordless heavenly book glanced at Ling Xiao and said, "If the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain is really the Chaos Lord, he will never let go of the seed of reincarnation. So when you return to the primitive world, he will definitely threaten you with your family and force you to hand over the seed of reincarnation. If so, he really deserves to die." Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent as he said coldly, "Ling Xiao, there's no time to lose. How about we return to the primitive world now? We will know the identity of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain by then." Hongjun ancestor said slowly. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered and fell on the heart of the world tree. Darkness Ling Xiao and Faith Ling Xiao were in the heart of the world tree. Because they were contaminated with the aura of the seed of reincarnation, they could enter and refine the heart of the world. However, it would take some time for them to fully integrate the power of the world tree. When Darkness Ling Xiao and Faith Ling Xiao came out of seclusion, their strength would reach an unimaginable level. Ling Xiao didn't have time to wait for them. He had to return to the world tree and save his family. Good. There's no time to lose. Let's go now. Ling Xiao immediately made up his mind. His eyes shone with a blazing light. "Ling Xiao, I've changed my mind. I think I can help you deal with the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain," the spirit of the wordless heavenly book said after a moment of silence. But I will keep my promise and let you go. You don't have to worry," Ling Xiao said indifferently. "I believe you. However, there's no future for me if I stay in the Chaos Sea. I only hope that you can bring me along when you head to the Eternal Land." The spirit of the wordless heavenly book said slowly, "Going to the Eternal Land? Sure." Ling Xiao nodded and said, "I'll take my leave first. I'll return to the great wasteland world first. Perhaps it will be of some help to you." The wordless heavenly book's artifact spirit said with a hint of joy in its eyes. The wordless heavenly book turned into a stream of light. It instantly tore through space and flew out of the void world at an extremely fast speed. "Ling Xiao, do you really believe in the wordless heavenly book?" Hongjun ancestor asked. Whether he believes it or not, he can't change the overall situation. Ling Xiao said indifferently, "That's right. Let's go and see if there are any changes in the great wasteland world. Then we'll know everything." Hongjun ancestor nodded. "I'll go too." Spacetime Tao Lord also decided to head to the great wasteland world. Like Hongjun ancestor, he had pinned his hopes on Ling Xiao. Naturally, he did not want anything to happen to Ling Xiao. The three of them left the inner world of the Tree of World and the Void World. They traveled through the Chaos Sea and headed for the great wasteland world. Damn it! The seed of reincarnation is in Ling Xiao's hands? If he reconstructs the reincarnation cycle and succeeds in transcending the great wasteland world and achieving eternity, I'll definitely die. I still have a chance. I'll enter the great wasteland world first, capture Ling Xiao's parents and relatives, and force him to hand over the seed of reincarnation. In the Chaos Sea, the Dark World Master's face was extremely gloomy. His eyes were filled with disbelief and even a trace of deep fear. He saw with his own eyes that immemorial Dao Master, Shenming Dao Master, and Chenkuan Dao Master were severely injured and left the void world. Before they left, they did not hide anything and told him that Ling Xiao had obtained the seed of reincarnation and was about to merge with the power of the Tree of World. Many sovereigns and great emperors were extremely shocked. They did not dare to stay in the void world any longer and fled one after another. The Dark World Master was naturally one of them. However, he was not willing to wait for death. He knew that Ling Xiao would definitely not let him go, so he decided to take a gamble. In front of him, the chaos mist gradually thinned, revealing an ancient and vast world. It was like a huge transparent eggshell that enveloped a vast and boundless ancient continent. There were tens of thousands of living beings on the continent, and they were full of vitality. However, the Dark World Master felt a sense of lethargy, as if this world was about to reach the end of its life. He had arrived at the Great Wasteland World. Right now, the most powerful person in the Great Wasteland World is only the Reincarnation Emperor. He's no match for me at all. As for the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, he has mastered part of the Heavenly Tao, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Now is the best chance for me to capture Ling Xiao's parents and relatives. There was a hint of madness in the Dark World Master's eyes. Boom! Black light surged around him, and a strange aura flowed. In an instant, it was like an extremely sharp saber light that tore apart the world barrier in front of him. His figure was like flowing water, instantly gushing into the untainted world. His boundless divine thought spread out and shrouded the entire untainted world. Almost instantly, he found a few people in the soaring heaven celestial court who were deeply involved with Ling Xiao's karma. The Dark World Master took a step forward and instantly traversed hundreds of millions of miles of void, arriving in the sky above the soaring heaven celestial court. Dark World Master, I've been waiting for a long time. Before the Dark World Master could speak, an indifferent and ethereal voice sounded. From the soaring heaven celestial court, a figure in white stepped out. He looked extremely ethereal, mysterious, and otherworldly. In an instant, he arrived in front of the Dark World Master. It was the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. You're the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain? You stole part of the Heavenly Tao of the untainted world. Do you really think you're the Heavenly Tao? Even if you're the Heavenly Tao, you're no match for me. Get lost and hand over Ling Xiao's parents and relatives. I can spare your life. The Dark World Master's eyes were extremely cold as he stared at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. It seems like you still don't understand the situation. Since you're here, stay. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled indifferently and then waved his sleeve. Rumble. The void shook violently as divine chains of order appeared. The power of the 3,000 Great Path Origins enveloped the Dark World Master at the same time as if the power of the entire untainted world was mobilized. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's palm pressed down across the sky as if the entire untainted world had risen. It was extremely terrifying. What? This is the untainted heaven skill. It's the untainted Lord. The Dark World Master's body shook violently as his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, in the next moment, he was drowned by the dense divine chains of order and the immortal palm print. Chapter 3403. Divine light blazed as the void distorted violently before it shattered. 3 figures with powerful auras descended upon the eldritch world. They were Ling Xiao, Hongjun Ancestor, and the Space-Time Tao Lord. The eldritch world seems to be a little different. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. You're right. The eldritch world has become a prison. It seems like they're targeting us. I'm afraid the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain has already discovered us. The Space-Time Daelord's eyes seemed to be flowing with time and space as he spoke slowly. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was indeed prepared. Hongjun Ancestor said slowly. Ling Xiao fell silent. Deep in his heart, he didn't want to stand on the opposite side of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain could be said to be his guiding light and had saved him from danger many times. He also respected the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Before returning to the eldritch world, he had a trace of fantasy. But now, his fantasy was shattered. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as if billions of lightning bolts were rising. A mysterious figure appeared in the sky and appeared in front of Ling Xiao and the other two. He was dressed in white and looked extraordinarily handsome. His eyes were deep and bright, and his entire body emitted an ethereal and otherworldly aura. It was the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Ling Xiao, you're back? You really didn't disappoint me. You should have obtained the seed of rebirth, right? The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at Ling Xiao and smiled. The seed of rebirth is indeed with me. Should I call you Senior of Kunwu Mountain, or should I call you the Great Desolation Master? Ling Xiao had a complicated expression as he looked at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked very different from before. That transcendent aura was obvious. Moreover, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain seemed to be able to control the great Tao of the entire Eldritch world, which made Ling Xiao feel a trace of danger. It seems like you already know. However, is there a difference whether I'm the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain or the Chaos Lord? I'm the one who brought you to the peak. I'm the one who taught you supreme techniques. I'm the one who saved you from danger many times. All I want is the seed of rebirth. Don't you think you should give me the seed of rebirth? The Kunwu Mountain Sovereign Emperor smiled faintly. He was not surprised that Ling Xiao exposed his true identity. You're right. You are my guide, and you are like a teacher to me. You have done me a great favor, so I should give you the seed of reincarnation. Ling Xiao's mood was somewhat gloomy. A bright light shone from his palm. The chaotic green lotus appeared, exuding a mysterious light of reincarnation. The Azure Emperor was sealed within it. I didn't expect Emperor Qin to be the seed of reincarnation. It seems that I didn't know that I had a mountain of treasures. However, if the Qing Emperor hadn't gone to the Void World, the seed of reincarnation wouldn't have been able to reach perfection. Leave him to me. Don't worry, when the primitive world completely transcends and becomes an eternal world, all of you will obtain eternal life. The Kunwu Mountain Emperor's eyes lit up, and he smiled faintly. After seeing the seed of rebirth, even with his temperament, he was somewhat excited. I can give you the seed of reincarnation, but I have conditions. Ling Xiao looked deeply at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and said slowly, What conditions? The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain seemed to be very patient. He was certain that Ling Xiao would give him the seed of reincarnation. You have to give me my parents, wife, and children, as well as my family and friends. I will take them away from the primitive world, and from then on, we will not owe each other anything. How about that? Ling Xiao glanced at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and said, No problem. I think you are thinking too much. I see you as my disciple, so why would I threaten you with your family and friends? Of course, I will let them go. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain agreed immediately. Also, I want to ask you, when the reincarnation cycle is reconstructed, what will happen to all living beings in the primitive world? Ling Xiao stared at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and asked. When the reincarnation cycle is reconstructed, the entire primitive world will be reborn from the ashes, and all living beings in the primitive world will naturally live forever from then on. They will no longer have to worry about life and death. This is also a great opportunity for all of them. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled faintly, then glanced at Ling Xiao. You don't think that I am a person who kills the innocent, right? Don't worry, all the races in the primitive world are like my people. Since it's like that, then I can rest assured. Give me my family and friends, and this seed of reincarnation is yours. Ling Xiao nodded and said. Hong Jun ancestor wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. He sighed softly. He respected Ling Xiao's choice. Even though he hoped that Ling Xiao was the one who controlled the seed of reincarnation, he could understand Ling Xiao's choice. I have a condition as well. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain glanced at Ling Xiao and smiled. Speak. Ling Xiao's expression was very calm. I can let your family and friends go, but you have to give me your body. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled faintly. As soon as he spoke, the ancestor of Hong Jun and the space-time Daelord's expressions changed abruptly. The ancestor of Hong Jun hurriedly spoke. If you give him your body, then you won't have any chance to resist if he wants to destroy your soul core. Moreover, The body of a transcender is extremely important. It is the ship that leaves the chaotic ocean. If you give him your body, then you won't have the chance to head to the eternal land. The ancestor of Hong Jun's expression was slightly anxious. Ling Xiao, I think this Chaos Lord is going too far. You've already agreed to give him the seed of reincarnation, but he still wants your body? He clearly has ulterior motives. The space-time Tao Lord said coldly. Ling Xiao was still not angry. Instead, he looked at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain seriously and asked, "Can you give me a reason? If I remember correctly, your body is in the void world. Why do you want my body?" The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled faintly and said, "Of course it's different. The body I left in the void world has long been eroded by the power of reincarnation, and its foundation has been destroyed. It can't be merged at all. My soul core has merged with the heavenly Tao. Although I control the heavenly Tao, it's not easy for me to break away. And you're another transcender after me in the primordial world. Your body contains the great fortune of the primordial world. If I obtain your body, I'll naturally be able to break away from the shackles of the heavenly Tao and even advance further in the future." The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was extremely frank. He did not hide anything and spoke his thoughts. "You're counting your chickens before they hatch," the Hongjun Patriarch said coldly. "I'm sorry. It's every man for himself. We have different standpoints. You want to transcend and go to the eternal land. Naturally, I want to do the same. Ling Xiao, I don't want your life. I only want your body. As long as you agree, I won't touch you. I can even bring you along when I go to the eternal land," the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said slowly. Ling Xiao fell silent. He could be considered to have realized that the greatest schemer since the ancient times was probably the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain before him. As for the Lord of the Dark World, the wordless heavenly book, and the primal Chaos Emperor, they were probably his pawns. Ling Xiao finally understood the chessboard he saw in the Transcendent Scroll and the Void World. It turned out that the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was the only chess player. "Alright, I promise you." Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. His gaze was extremely calm. Chapter 3404. Ling Xiao, what you're doing is no different from putting your life in his hands. Do you trust him that much? Hong Jun Ancestor sighed and tried to persuade Ling Xiao. Just take it as repaying his kindness. Senior Kunwu Mountain, I'm sorry, but I prefer to call you Senior Kunwu Mountain. These two are people who were exiled to the Chaos Sea from the Eternal Land. They want to return to the Eternal Land. I hope that you can bring them back after you attain the Eternal Tao. Ling Xiao looked at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain seriously. No problem. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain took a deep look at Ling Xiao as a strange light flickered in his eyes. Good. Senior, I trust you. I'll leave the seed of reincarnation to you. A light flashed in Ling Xiao's palm and the chaotic green lotus flew toward the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain like a dazzling light. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain caught it in his hand. Ling Xiao's body emitted a dazzling light as if there were endless rays of light gushing out from his body. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit had already merged with his physical body. However, he was forcefully separating them at this moment. This kind of separation also caused Ling Xiao to suffer a great backlash. Boom! Hundreds of millions of thunderbolts exploded around Ling Xiao. A dazzling golden primordial spirit flew out from his body. It seemed to be stained with blood and emitted a blood-red light. He had completely severed his physical body. His body was translucent like a precious jade, and it contained terrifying power. Even with the passage of time, his body would not be obliterated. However, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit could no longer sense the existence of his physical body. Swoosh! He threw out a palm and his physical body flew toward the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Very good. Ling Xiao, these are your friends and relatives. They are all here. You can take them and leave the untainted world. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled faintly. There was a ball of chaotic light in his palm. It looked like a small chaotic world and flew toward Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao took the small chaotic world and probed it with his divine thought. He found his parents, Jinsei, Shuiwei, Luoluo, the white dragon horse, the old goat, Taoist Wuliang, and even the reincarnation emperor and the flowing time emperor. His friends and relatives, including the people from the Long God sect and the War God Hall, were all safe and sound. Thank you. Ling Xiao took a serious look at the emperor of Kunwu Mountain before he turned and flew out of the untainted world. He and the emperor of Kunwu Mountain were even. Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord laughed bitterly and shook their heads. They knew that they could not persuade Ling Xiao. If it weren't for the fact that they weren't living beings of this realm, they would have taken action to seize the seed of reincarnation. Fortunately, the Kunwu Mountain Emperor had agreed to bring them back to the Eternal Land. Therefore, they did not dare to offend the Kunwu Mountain Emperor and did not leave with Ling Xiao. Instead, they watched Ling Xiao leave the Eldritch world. Ling Xiao, wait. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain stopped Ling Xiao. Is there anything? Ling Xiao turned around and said calmly, how can you miss the opportunity to reconstruct the reincarnation cycle and allow the untainted world to transcend? It won't be too late for you to leave after I've completed this great feat. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled. Alright. Ling Xiao wanted to reject the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, but for some reason he agreed when he met the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's gaze. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain looked at the chaotic green lotus in his palm with a trace of inexplicable excitement in his eyes. Boom! Chaotic light rose from his body. In an instant, the surrounding void trembled. A huge chaotic divine mountain that was hundreds of millions of miles tall suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. Kunwu Mountain was the sacred mountain of the human race. It was also the origin of the human race. It was also the body of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. The infinite chaotic fire bloomed from his body. Kunwu Mountain seemed to be burning between heaven and earth, forming a flaming storm that enveloped the chaotic green lotus. In the chaotic green lotus, the Lotus Emperor's face was distorted. He let out an extremely miserable cry, his eyes filled with unwillingness. However, under the refinement of the infinite chaotic fire, the chaotic green lotus gradually melted. The Lotus Emperor also gradually merged with the chaotic green lotus. As for Ling Xiao's physical body, it instantly fused with the primordial spirit of the Kunwu Mountain Emperor in the infinite primal chaos fire. Although it was only a glimpse, Ling Xiao immediately recognized that the primordial spirit of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was exactly the same as the untainted Lord he had seen in the Void World. The true identity of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was indeed the untainted Lord. Rumble! The chaotic green lotus gradually melted and shone brightly in the void like a bright sun, emitting rings of mysterious reincarnation light. It was a seed that contained boundless energy of samsara and boundless vitality. The seed of reincarnation. This was the true appearance of the seed of reincarnation. The moment the seed of reincarnation appeared, the void in all directions trembled at the same time. The entire untainted world seemed to have begun to boil. The 3,000 origins of the great paths appeared above the 9 heavens at the same time. They were like pillars that supported the heavens, penetrating the entire untainted world. In the middle of the 3,000 origins of the great paths, a huge whirlpool surged. Endless light bloomed, pulling the seed of reincarnation into it. What's going on? Why is the untainted world trembling so violently? Is there an invasion? The 3,000 origins of the great paths have all appeared. The origin sea of the untainted world has also appeared. What's going on? All the living beings in the Eldritch world, whether they were ordinary cultivators or powerful great emperors, were panicking. They raised their heads and were all shocked by the 3,000 pillars that supported the heavens. Although they could not see what was happening above the 9 heavens and could only see a chaotic light enveloping the entire untainted world, they could feel that the entire untainted world was undergoing a drastic change. However, the change did not make them feel fear or danger. Instead, they felt joy from the depths of their souls. It felt as if the entire untainted world was emitting endless vitality. Deep in their souls, some incomplete parts seemed to have been repaired and become complete. Their entire bodies felt warm and comfortable, and they felt a kind of comfort that they had never felt before. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He suddenly felt that something was wrong. Although the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had merged with his physical body, he seemed to be under unimaginable pressure. The origin of the great paths of the untainted world had begun to merge with the seed of reincarnation and was gradually becoming complete. However, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain seemed to be enveloped by an indescribably terrifying aura. At that moment, a dazzling immortal light seemed to appear above the 9 heavens. It instantly pierced through the chaos sea and the untainted world. It was vast and dazzling to the extreme. It was an unimaginable supreme law aura that far surpassed the 3,000 origins of the great paths. The immortal light was ethereal, mysterious, and indestructible. It was a guiding immortal light that seemed to lead to an unknown and mysterious world and connected that world to the untainted world. That's the eternal land. The space-time Taoist master trembled violently. His eyes were filled with excitement. Origin Celestial Realm, that's the Origin Celestial Realm. The Hongjun ancestor also trembled. His eyes were filled with unprecedented excitement. He stretched out his trembling hand as if he wanted to touch the dazzling immortal light. Under the illumination of the immortal light, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's physical body became crystal clear and emitted a vast and immortal light. However, the blazing immortal light contained the power of laws that were completely different from the untainted world. Under the illumination of the immortal light, his primordial spirit showed signs of melting like snow. This state was extremely strange. His physical body became complete and flawless. It was imbued with the mysterious eternal law. The immortal light lingered around it and was extremely terrifying. However, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's primordial spirit was melting. "Oh no! Untainted Lord, what are you doing?" Ling Zhao's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared fixedly at the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. He suddenly felt that the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's insistence on making him hand over the seed of reincarnation, and he didn't even hesitate to threaten and tempt him. It didn't seem like he was scheming to reconstruct the great fortune after reincarnation. It seemed like he was sacrificing himself. That's right, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain gave Ling Zhao the feeling that he was sacrificing himself to feed the Tao and was about to be completely annihilated by the peerlessly terrifying immortal light. Rumble. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled at Ling Zhao. His smile was kind and brilliant. He didn't answer Ling Zhao's question. Instead, he slowly raised his palm. Peerlessly terrifying immortal light rose from his palm. It was a force that could suppress and destroy all Taoists. It pressed down mightily towards the space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun ancestor. Oh no! The space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun ancestors' expressions changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with extreme solemnity and fear. The space-time Taoist master withdrew a space-time heavenly blade. The blade light was blazing and dazzling as if it could destroy everything. On the other hand, the Hongjun ancestor withdrew a 9-colored immortal sword. It looked extremely similar to the Void Destroyer immortal sword, but its peerlessly terrifying aura was enough to tear apart a transcendent expert. At this moment, the strength that erupted from them made Ling Zhao feel extremely threatened. However, their strength was like a firefly in front of the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's palm. It seemed so pale and powerless. Bang! The space-time heavenly blade and the Void Destroyer immortal sword trembled violently. The boundless blade light and sword chi shattered, and the two supreme treasures were directly blasted away. The space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun ancestors' bodies shook violently, and blood spurted out from their mouths. They were directly suppressed by the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's palm. "Will you submit or die?" The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's voice was extremely indifferent, but it contained a domineering and majestic aura that could sweep through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and no one could question it. When the space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun ancestor heard it, they felt as if they were struck by lightning, and their eyes were filled with extreme terror. "We submit." The space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun ancestors' faces were filled with bitterness as they finally spoke with great difficulty. They could feel that as long as they dared to say no, or even hesitate or refuse in the slightest, the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain would not hesitate to kill them. They were about to return to the Eternal Land, to their homeland, so how could they be willing to die just like that? Very well. You should know what to do. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain said indifferently. He slightly opened his palm, and blazing immortal light that contained an eternal supreme law gushed out from his palm. It still locked the space-time Taoist master and the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain in place. It was as if as long as they dared to refuse in the slightest, the palm would not hesitate to suppress and completely suppress and kill them. The space-time Taoist master gritted his teeth and bit the tip of his tongue. At the same time, a trace of primordial spirit light bloomed between his brows, and under the illumination of the dazzling immortal light, it formed an extremely mysterious rune. I, the space-time Taoist master, swear in the name of the eternal heavenly Tao that I will forever be loyal to Lord Ling Xiao. If I dare to betray him in the slightest, I will never be reincarnated. The Hongjun Patriarch swore the same oath. I, the Hongjun Taoist master, swear in the name of the eternal heavenly Tao that I will forever be loyal to Lord Ling Xiao. If I dare to betray him in the slightest, I will never be reincarnated. Rumble. Two extremely mysterious immortal Tao runes instantly merged with Ling Xiao's primordial spirit like flowing lights. Ling Xiao's body shook. He could sense that the space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun Patriarch's lives were in his hands. Senior Kunwu Mountain, why? Why are you here? Ling Xiao's body shook, his voice trembled, and his eyes turned red. He would be a fool if he still did not understand what the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain was doing. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had sacrificed himself for justice. Although he had reconstructed the cycle of reincarnation, he was devoured by the heavenly Tao of the Eternal Land and was about to be annihilated. Before he died, he had even suppressed the space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun Taoist master and made them submit to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao understood that he had been tricked by the space-time Taoist master and the Hongjun Patriarch. He had not expected the Hongjun Patriarch to be a Taoist master as well. You need to change your trusting nature, Ling Xiao. I asked you to hand over the seed of reincarnation and your body, and you're going to hand them over? What if I'm plotting something against you? You can't even protect yourself, let alone your friends and family. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled at Ling Xiao. Immortal light glowed around him. Although his body was becoming more translucent, his primordial spirit was melting faster and faster. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why did you do this? I'll feel guilty for the rest of my life if you do this. I'd rather you be a little more evil. I'd rather you were plotting against me. Ling Xiao roared in agitation, his vision blurring. If I hadn't plotted against you, you would have fallen into their trap and reconstructed the cycle of reincarnation. The Yorwild's world would have been able to completely transcend and become an eternal land, but your primordial spirit would have been unable to withstand the laws of the eternal immortal domain. It would have crumbled instantly. When that happened, those two would have reaped the benefits of both sides' efforts. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled, a smile that was both weary and hopeful. I wanted to plot against you too. I wanted to go to the eternal immortal domains to take a look. But you're my most outstanding disciple. I want you to go to the eternal immortal domains. I've been too tired and lonely these past few years. Perhaps doing one last thing for the human race is the best thing for me to do. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's primordial spirit flew out of Ling Xiao's body, wreathed in dazzling immortal light. His primordial spirit continued to melt away, but his eyes were filled with a smile of relief. He looked down at the Yorwild's world, where the cycle of reincarnation was being reconstructed. Bathed in the laws of the eternal immortal domains, the world seemed to have been reborn. From now on, all living beings would be reincarnated after they died. From now on, the Yorwild's world would no longer have to worry about its destruction. From now on, all living beings in this world would be like dragons, immortal and immortal. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain's eyes were filled with hope, longing, and gratification. His primordial spirit was wreathed in dazzling immortal light, making him seem even more majestic and mysterious. Master! Ling Zhao's entire body trembled. He abruptly knelt down before the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain and kowtowed deeply. Ling Xiao, you didn't misjudge me. Neither did I. Farewell, Ling Xiao. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain smiled. Boom. In the next moment, his nascent spirit exploded. Enveloped by the resplendent immortal light, he completely vanished from the primeval world. The door of immortal light in the highest heavens slowly closed. However, the Yorwild's world was no longer the same. Bathed in the laws of the eternal heavenly Tao, it was now connected to the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao kowtowed deeply, a few drops of tears rolling down his cheeks. Like dazzling pearls, the tears fell onto the Yorwild's continent, causing the ground to tremble and a few vast lakes to appear. Author's note: I'm filled with emotion at this point. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had died for the sake of the human race and Ling Xiao. He hadn't turned evil, and Ling Xiao was about to embark on a new journey. This book is nearing the end, and Muyu will spend the next few days polishing the ending. Thank you for your support over the past few years. The Apex. Chapter 3405. That's how it is. Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord exchanged glances and laughed bitterly. It was indeed as the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain had said. They had concealed something from Ling Xiao, and it could even be said that they had sinister intentions. Indeed, only the living beings in the Chaos Sea could refine the seed of reincarnation. Otherwise, it was impossible for Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord to help Ling Xiao wholeheartedly. However, even though the primitive world would transform into an eternal world after refining the seed of reincarnation, it would form a connection with the eternal land and be sensed by the eternal heaven Tao. The original primitive world was like a remote mountain village, and the eternal land was the imperial city of a country. Once the mountain village was promoted into a city and was noticed by the imperial city, it would naturally be conquered and devoured by the country. From then on, it would be governed by the country's laws. Ling Xiao was a figure like the village chief of the mountain village, so he would naturally be eliminated and sent by the imperial city to manage it. So, the eternal world that appeared when the world above the 9 heavens was pierced through was the eternal land. If Ling Xiao reconstructed the cycle of reincarnation, then his soul core would completely collapse at the instant the laws of the eternal heaven Tao descended. The space-time Tao Lord and Hong Jun had concealed this because they naturally harbored evil intentions. They wanted to replace Ling Xiao after his soul core shattered. After all, the master of an eternal world possessed an extremely high status even in the eternal land. However, they hadn't expected that the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, the master of the primitive world, would actually know this secret and beat them at their own game. Not only had he died for Ling Xiao, he'd even relied on the laws of the eternal heaven Tao to suppress them. Now, their lives were in Ling Xiao's hands. Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord naturally didn't dare conceal anything and told him everything. However, both of them were extremely perturbed in their hearts. They were afraid that Ling Xiao would vent his anger on them and kill them. I only have one question for both of you. Can the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain be revived? If there's no way, then both of you can accompany him. Ling Xiao's gaze was extremely icy cold as he stared at Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord as he spoke slowly. Ling Xiao's words caused Hong Jun and the space-time Tao Lord to be unable to help but tremble. They'd watched as the primitive world had transcended eternity and formed a connection with the eternal land, so they were naturally unwilling to die just like that. However, Ling Xiao's words made them understand that Ling Xiao was not joking. If they couldn't save the Kunwu Mountain Imperial Emperor, they would really die. Yes. His nascent divinity was destroyed by the eternal Tao of heaven, but his true spirit was taken to the eternal immortal domains to be reincarnated. Once we reach the eternal immortal domains, we'll definitely find him. Hong Jun ancestor said hurriedly. The eternal land can also be called the eternal immortal domain, or the origin continent. That was the greatest world, with millions upon millions of races and countless creatures. Compared to the eternal immortal domains, the primal Chaos Sea is a wasteland. The reason we call ourselves immortals is because we're from the eternal immortal domains. The truth is that we're not immortals, and no one would dare to call themselves that. Immortal is a powerful realm, just like you, Sir Ling Xiao. Immortal King can already be called a true immortal. Once you completely become the master of the great desolate world and reach a higher level, comprehending the eternal heavenly Tao, you are a true immortal king. The Hongjun ancestor and the space-time Tao Lord had extremely respectful and reverent expressions on their faces. The eternal immortal domains, huh? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. If the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain hadn't truly died, and had only been reincarnated in the eternal immortal domains, then Ling Xiao's grief had lessened considerably. He had to go to the eternal immortal domains and find the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Sir Ling Xiao, there's one more thing you must know. The eternal immortal domains have already noticed that the Your Wilds world has transcended and become an eternal realm. I'm afraid that a true immortal from the eternal immortal domains will soon descend to take over the Your Wilds world and become an immortal king. You must plan ahead, the space-time Tao Lord said slowly. A true immortal from the eternal immortal domains? I'd like to see what kind of strength they have to dare cause trouble in the Your Wilds world. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light, revealing a cold killing intent. Their hearts were incomparably oppressed and angry, and they needed to vent. If the so-called true immortals from the eternal immortal domains really didn't know what was good for them, then Ling Xiao wouldn't mind sending them into the cycle of reincarnation. Even though Ling Xiao wished for nothing more than to kill the ancestor of Hongjun and the space-time Tao Lord, when he thought about how it was the imperial emperor of Kunwu Mountain who had made them submit to him, he knew that there was probably a deeper meaning behind this. So, Ling Xiao forcefully restrained the killing intent in his heart and didn't make a move against them. The two of them were honest and fearful of death, so they didn't dare hide anything from Ling Xiao. Not only did they tell him everything they knew, but they also told him everything they knew about the eternal immortal domains. Rumble. The Your Wilds world surged violently in the chaos sea, enveloped by the mysterious power of magical laws. The light of reincarnation spread out, making the Your Wilds world emanate an aura of eternity and immortality. The seed of reincarnation had made the Your Wilds world an eternal realm, but it wasn't something that could be completed in an instant. It would take a long time for it to evolve. Ling Xiao could already sense that an underworld of the dead had appeared in the Your Wilds world, and that it was connected to all living beings in the Your Wilds world. Once they died, their true spirits would enter the underworld of the dead and be reincarnated, living one life after another in the Your Wilds world. The Your Wilds world was undergoing earth-shaking changes. The untainted land seemed to have expanded 1,000 times in an instant. Ancient divine mountains rose from the ground, and all kinds of towering ancient trees, divine herbs, sacred herbs, and even all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures that had gone extinct in ancient times began to glow with new vitality. The spiritual energy in the Your Wilds world was thousands of times richer than before. Because of this, countless living beings obtained benefits and great fortunes. There were constantly experts breaking through and touching upon even higher realms. The Your Wilds world shone with unprecedented vitality. High in the sky, Ling Xiao once again became one with his fleshly body. Under the baptism of the eternal heavenly Tao, his fleshly body became crystal clear, flawless, and mysterious like glass. Mysterious immortal light rose from it, and every particle in his body seemed to have been carved out of a chaotic world. Ling Xiao's fleshly body was unimaginably strong. According to the Hongjun Patriarch and the space-time Tao Lord, Ling Xiao's fleshly body could be called the immortal king body, and it was immortal and indestructible. Even in the eternal immortal domains, immortal kings were super experts who ruled over a region, and there were very few who could pose a threat to them. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit would be constantly nourished by the immortal king body. At that time, with the help of the transcendence of the primitive world, he would quickly comprehend the eternal heavenly Tao and become a true supreme immortal king. Rumble. The Your Wilds world was evolving, and the vast and mysterious eternal heavenly Tao seemed to have become one with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao floated high in the sky, and his immortal king body exuded a terrifying aura that made the Hongjun Patriarch and the space-time Tao Lord tremble. They could see that Ling Xiao was fusing with his fleshly body and comprehending the eternal heavenly Tao, so they stood guard for him. They knew that the true immortals of the eternal immortal domains were about to descend. When that happened, a fierce battle was sure to break out between them and Ling Xiao. Chapter 3406. This was a world that had just transcended and ascended to eternity. In fact, it hadn't even completed its transformation. As long as one could control this world and comprehend its laws, one could become an immortal king. That was the goal of the 7 true immortals. Someone beat us to it? Lowly beings, how dare you snatch such a fortune? You're courting death. Let's kill them all and then decide who this world belongs to. What do you think? Agreed. The eyes of the 7 true immortals shone brightly. They were incomparably cold as they revealed a torrential killing intent. They saw the Hongjun Patriarch and the space-time Tao Lord, as well as Ling Xiao, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, comprehending the world's laws. In their opinion, the immortal king's body and the Yorwild's world were already theirs. Ling Xiao deserved to die for daring to snatch it. This is bad. The true immortals of the eternal immortal domain are coming so quickly? And 7 true immortals came all of a sudden? Lord Ling Xiao hasn't completed the fusion yet. I'm afraid he's no match for them. The Hongjun Patriarch and the space-time Daolord's expressions were unsightly, and their eyes were filled with deep fear. Although a transcender was equivalent to a true immortal, a transcender had only transcended the heavenly Tao of a world with imperfections. A true immortal, on the other hand, had comprehended the eternal heavenly Tao of the eternal immortal domain. Their strength couldn't be compared at all. The Hongjun Patriarch and the space-time Tao Lord couldn't even face 1 true immortal, let alone 7. Boom. The 7 true immortals looked cold and murderous. They didn't say a word, but attacked the Hongjun Patriarch, the space-time Tao Lord, and Ling Xiao. The 7 true immortals didn't seem to want to talk to them at all. It was a blatant disregard. 7 dazzling beams of immortal Tao appeared ethereal and mysterious. They contained an otherworldly aura as they enveloped the 3 true immortals. The beams of immortal Tao seemed capable of destroying primordial spirits. They contained a terrifying power that wanted to obliterate the 3 true immortals. Damn it! The space-time Taoist master and Hongjun ancestors' faces were extremely ugly. They instantly took out the space-time heavenly blade and the void-breaking sword. The 2 supreme treasures emitted dazzling immortal light. They were mysterious and unfathomable as they flew toward the 7 beams of immortal light. They called out to Ling Xiao as they attacked. If Ling Xiao still did not wake up, they might all die here. He was actually a sinner of the immortal region? You're courting death. The eyes of the 7 true immortals revealed a trace of surprise. They recognized that these 2 treasures contain the aura of the immortal region. On the other hand, the ancestor of Hongjun and the space-time Tao Lord were naturally criminals that had been exiled to the Chaos Sea. Their attacks became even more vicious. Rumble. Even though the space-time heavenly saber and the void-shattering immortal sword were extremely powerful, they still trembled violently when the 7 immortal rays shot at them. Their runes exploded one after another. In the end, the 2 supreme treasures buzzed and trembled. Their light became incomparably dim, and they were directly sent flying. On the other hand, Ancestor Hongjun and the space-time Tao Lord seemed as if they'd been struck by lightning, and blood sprayed violently from their mouths while their eyes were filled with extreme terror. Sinner of the immortal realms, you actually dare to be so impudent? Damn it! The eyes of the 7 true immortals were filled with peerlessly icy cold killing intent. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Numerous beams of light shot out from the center of their palms. It was the God Obliteration Light, and it was capable of destroying the soul core and annihilating the true spirit. They intended to directly annihilate Ancestor Hongjun and the space-time Tao Lord. A trace of despair appeared in the eyes of Ancestor Hongjun and the space-time Tao Lord. They felt a deep sense of powerlessness before the 7 true immortals. The strengths of these 7 true immortals were extremely terrifying indeed. They were probably at the peak of the true immortal realm, and they weren't far from the immortal king realm, right? Could it be that we're really going to die here? But we still haven't returned home, and we're truly unwilling to die here. Bang. But right at this moment, a crystalline and translucent palm obstructed the 7 beams of God obliteration light, and then it suddenly clenched. The 7 beams of God obliteration light suddenly shattered into pieces, yet the palm didn't move at all. Unknowingly, Ling Xiao had already opened his eyes. Rumble. He stood up high in the 9 heavens, and his body was shrouded in dazzling immortal light. It was as translucent as glass, and it intertwined with various mysterious phenomena that caused the surrounding void to tremble. His gaze was extremely indifferent as he stared at the 7 true immortals before him. It was as if he was looking at ants, and there wasn't the slightest emotion in his eyes. "Do all of you want to die?" Ling Xiao's voice exploded in the void like a thunderclap. The 7 true immortals' expressions changed abruptly. They hadn't expected Ling Xiao to refine the immortal king body so quickly. That was an immortal king body. Even they couldn't refine it so easily. Moreover, Ling Xiao's gaze made them feel extremely uncomfortable. It was as if he was looking at ants, and they couldn't believe that he was looking at them. "Who are you?" "Hand over the immortal king body." "Don't try to bluff, lowly creature. You can't refine the immortal king body so quickly. Kneel down and submit to us, and perhaps we'll spare your life." The 7 true immortals spoke with extremely cold expressions. To them, the eternal immortal domains were the true source of all worlds, the end of the great Tao, and the center of the endless universe. As for the Chaos Sea, although it was vast and boundless, it was only a land of exile and wilderness. Therefore, they felt a natural sense of superiority. "This body is mine to begin with," Ling Xiao said coldly. "Why should I refine it? Are you from the eternal immortal domains? Very well. I'll give you a chance to live. Kneel down and submit to me, and I'll spare your lives." Ling Xiao said coldly. He could sense the terrifying power contained within the immortal king body. Even a Tao Lord wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from him, and would be instantly blown to bits. "Your body? How is that possible? The eternal heavenly Tao has already erased the owner of this body. You're nothing but an ant. How dare you ask us to submit to you? You don't know the meaning of death. Kill him." The 7 true immortals sneered, their eyes filled with icy killing intent. Boom, boom, boom. The 7 true immortals attacked Ling Xiao in the blink of an eye. They were surrounded by dazzling immortal light, and wielded the eternal heavenly Tao. Their attacks seemed capable of shattering heaven and earth. If the Yorwild's world hadn't transcended and become an eternal realm, it would have been blown to bits by this attack. Heaven Blade Immortal Art. Soaring Cloud Immortal Art. Master of Immortal Arts. Sword Fall Immortal Art. The 7 true immortals unleashed their supreme immortal arts. Dazzling sword and saber light filled the sky, and all kinds of terrifying phenomena shot toward Ling Xiao. "Kill!" Ling Xiao roared as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He clenched his hand into a fist, and his fist seal seemed capable of suppressing the void. It was fierce and domineering, and the power of his immortal king body seemed to explode with it. The dazzling immortal light was annihilated, and the sword and saber light exploded. The terrifying fist seal smashed into the 7 true immortals. Splat! The true immortals shuddered, and cracks appeared on their immortal bodies. They coughed up mouthfuls of blood, and their eyes filled with horror. They hadn't expected Ling Xiao to actually be able to unleash the power of his immortal king body. When the fist landed, they felt as if they were facing an immortal king. It was difficult to suppress the fear in their hearts. "So what if you're from the eternal immortal domains? You're just a thief. If I kill my way into the eternal immortal domains, I'll turn them upside down." Ling Xiao's eyes were sharp, and his voice was domineering. He didn't need to use any immortal arts to unleash the power of his immortal king body. His immortal king body contained the power of the eternal heavenly Tao, and could destroy heaven and earth with a casual blow. The 7 true immortals couldn't withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. They were quickly overwhelmed and suffered unimaginable injuries. "Master, I'll go to the eternal immortal domains and find you." The more powerful his immortal king body was, the more moved Ling Xiao felt. If the emperor of Kunwu Mountain hadn't sacrificed himself to protect Ling Xiao, he wouldn't have been able to possess such a powerful immortal king body. In his heart, the emperor of Kunwu Mountain was like a father to him. The fact that the emperor of Kunwu Mountain had knelt before his death was proof of that. Because of that, Ling Xiao's hatred for the so-called eternal immortal domains only grew. They'd sealed off the Sea of Chaos and treated it as a place of exile. But now that the eternal world had appeared, they hadn't hesitated to pluck the fruits of their labor. Ling Xiao's heart was filled with murderous intent at their shamelessness and overbearingness. Boom, boom, boom. The immortal king body glowed with immortal light, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared around him. It was as if gods and devils were bathed in blood, and dragons and phoenixes were flying through the air. Heaven and earth were crumbling, and all living things were bowing down to him. Ling Xiao's battle prowess had only grown more terrifying. The 7 true immortals were no longer as arrogant and domineering as they had been when they'd first arrived. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. Their true immortal bodies trembled violently, and cracks appeared all over them, as if they might explode at any moment. Damn it! That lowly ant can unleash the power of an immortal king body? Don't hold back, everyone. Show us your trump cards. One of the true immortals said with an ugly expression. All right. Kill him. That damned ant. He doesn't know what's good for him. The 7 true immortals' eyes were cold and murderous as they unleashed their strongest trump cards. They'd been saving these trump cards for the immortal king body and the eternal world. But now, they had no choice but to use everything they had against Ling Xiao. Rumble. Dazzling rays of immortal light bloomed in the sky, their auras terrifying to the extreme. 3 figures with terrifying auras appeared above the true immortals' heads, along with 4 peerlessly powerful treasures. The 3 immortal kings' projection clones and the imprints of the 4 immortal king artifacts had all appeared. An incomparably terrifying killing intent locked onto the 2 soaring heavens. This is bad. Hongjun Patriarch and the Space-Time Tao Lord both paled. Chapter 3407. The 3 immortal king projection clones were surrounded by dazzling immortal light. Endless chaos rose around them. Although their faces were blurry, the terrifying aura they exuded sent chills down one's spine. All the living beings in the eldritch world knelt on the ground, trembling, as if they were facing a great enemy. The power of the king of 10,000 immortals, even though it was only a projected avatar, still displayed a supreme power that could swallow the universe and suppress the myriad of worlds. The 4 immortal king artifacts exuded monstrous killing intent. Saber light split the chaos, sword chi scattered across the sky, spear light shattered the starry sky, and halberd light slashed demon gods. The 4 immortal king artifacts were all weapons of pure killing intent. Although they were only immortal clones, their power was still extremely terrifying. They could easily tear apart a true immortal expert. Hongjun Patriarch and the Space-Time Tao Lord were also true immortals, but at this moment, their bodies were trembling and an uncontrollable fear emerged from the depths of their souls. Kill! The 7 true immortals roared at the same time. Their eyes were incomparably cold, and their bodies exuded monstrous killing intent. The 3 immortal king projection clones and the 4 immortal king artifacts pressed down on Ling Xiao at the same time. The dazzling immortal light seemed to be able to annihilate everything. Endless worlds collapsed, and even the eldritch world trembled violently. The supreme power of an immortal king had completely erupted. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, and his immortal king body erupted with dazzling immortal light. Although his primordial spirit had yet to transform, he had not comprehended the eternal heavenly Tao, and had yet to reach the immortal king realm. However, the power of his immortal king body was extremely terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao punched out like a dragon. He formed an invincible fist seal and attacked the immortal king projection clones and the immortal king artifacts. The void in all directions rumbled, and the battle was extremely intense. Ling Xiao's current combat strength was extremely strong. If he were in the eternal immortal domain, he would be considered a half-step immortal king. Even if he fought the immortal king projection clones alone, he was still not at a disadvantage. The 7 true immortals' expressions were extremely cold and filled with monstrous killing intent. I don't know how this lowly ant merged with the power of his immortal king body, but his combat strength is extremely strong. If this goes on, I'm afraid we won't be a match for him. There must be friends and relatives and friends in this new world. Capture them and threaten him. Good. Just like that? How could a lowly ant like him be qualified to rule an eternal world? Damn it. The 7 true immortals intertwined their divine wills, and their eyes were extremely cold. Their terrifying divine senses spread out and enveloped the entire eldritch world. They wanted to find Ling Xiao's friends and family. However, at this moment, the void trembled violently as if billions of lightning bolts were descending at the same time. Amidst the endless chaotic light, a gigantic world tree soared through the sky. It contained an eternal and indestructible power as it came crashing down on the 7 true immortals. Boom! The 7 immortals were caught off guard. Their bodies shook violently, and cracks appeared on their immortal bodies. It was as if they were going to break apart at any moment, and blood kept coming out of their mouths. This is the World Tree. There's such a powerful World Tree in the Chaos Sea. This is an opportunity to become a martial monarch. We must seize it, we must seize it. If the World Tree fuses with the everlasting world, I'll definitely become an eternal immortal emperor. This is a heaven-defying opportunity. I can't miss it. Damn it. If I knew that there was a World Tree here, I would have asked my immortal king patriarch to come here personally. When the 7 true immortals saw the World Tree, they seemed to have gone mad. Their eyes were filled with a burning desire. You want the World Tree? You'll have to be alive to take it. An extremely cold voice rang out. Rumble. 2 figures with peerlessly terrifying auras shot out from the World Tree. One of them was like a demonic sovereign, and the other was like an immortal king, surrounded by immortal light. It was Darkness Ling Xiao and Faith Ling Xiao. Their auras were so terrifying that the space-time Tao Lord and Hongjun Patriarch trembled all over. Who are you? You've refined the World Tree. The 7 true immortals trembled, and their eyes were filled with solemnity. When they sensed the auras of Darkness Ling Xiao and Faith Ling Xiao, they trembled all over, and their eyes were filled with jealousy. The 2 of them had refined the power of the World Tree, and their cultivation had reached the level of a half-step immortal king. Their strength was extremely terrifying. If they went to the eternal immortal domain, it wouldn't take long for them to become immortal kings. They couldn't accept that such a heaven-defying fortune had been snatched away by these 2 ants. Trash from the eternal immortal domain, how dare you come to the eldritch world to pick peaches? You're courting death. Darkness Ling Xiao sneered. Rumble. Faith Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent. Blazing light rose from his body, and an extremely sharp sword light flew out from his palm and slashed at the 7 true immortals. A man of few words. He couldn't be bothered to say anything to the 7 true immortals. He attacked immediately. Kill. Dark Ling Xiao sneered as he lunged towards the 3 clones of the immortal kings. The devil chi around him towered into the sky, and his aura was terrifying to the extreme. Even in the face of the 3 immortal king projections, he showed no fear. His attacks were incomparably fierce, and he wanted to shatter them completely. Ling Xiao formed an invincible fist seal and blocked the 4 immortal king artifacts. His immortal king body erupted with supreme power that was no weaker than an immortal king artifact. His physical body was invincible. Without their trump cards to protect themselves, how could the 7 true immortals be a match for Faith Ling Xiao? In a flash of bloody light, one of the true immortals was killed by Faith Ling Xiao's sword. A nascent divinity rushed out of the boundless immortal light and tried to return to the eternal immortal domain, but Ling Xiao destroyed it with a single punch. Even his true spirit was not spared at all, directly exploding into smithereens. Perhaps after countless years, his true spirit would merge back into the cycle of reincarnation, but now it was completely destroyed. You killed true immortal Cloud Steel. Damn it. His immortal king won't let you get away with this. The remaining 6 true immortals were shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. They tried to put on a brave front, but were cowardly at heart. Even in the eternal immortal domain, they were lofty figures. True immortals were long-lived and long-lived. How could they have imagined that they would one day be slaughtered like dogs? Moreover, in a barren land like the Chaos Sea and a land of exile, they had a natural sense of superiority. He had thought that he would be able to smoothly inherit the eternal world and become an immortal king-level expert after coming to this eternal world. But he never expected that 3 half-step immortal kings would actually appear in this barren land. An immortal king patriarch? It would have been fine if he hadn't come, but if he did, we'd kill him all the same. Darkling Shao sneered. Boom. He destroyed an immortal king projection with a single punch. After all, it was only a projection. Once its power was exhausted, it was no match for Darkling Shao. As for Ling Shao, his immortal king body burst forth completely. Boundless immortal light shone out, causing the imprints of the 4 immortal king weapons to explode completely. Not good. Let's go. When we get back, we'll have the immortal king patriarch come and kill these bastards. Antlic thing, how dare you covet our everlasting world? Let's go. The 6 true immortals' expressions were grave, and they couldn't hide the fear in their eyes. They turned and prepared to leave the Urwilds. Since you've come, why don't you stay? Dark Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably cold. His immortal king body bloomed with dazzling immortal light, and divine chains of order streaked across the void to envelop the 6 true immortals. Dark Ling Shao and Faith Ling Shao also charged over and began a massacre of the 6 true immortals. Boom, boom, boom. The 6 true immortals were incomparably saddened to discover that they were completely powerless against the 3 true immortals. One by one, the true immortals' bodies were destroyed, their flesh and blood splattered everywhere, their nascent spirits shattered, and their true spirits destroyed. In the end, only one true immortal was left. Spare me! Sirs, I'm willing to submit. As long as you spare my life, I'll lead you to the eternal immortal domains. That true immortal powerful being was a somewhat ugly-looking youth. At this moment, he was already trembling in fear. In the void, he knelt down before Ling Shao and the other 2 with a pleading look in his eyes. Dark Ling Shao had planned to kill him, but stopped when he heard the youth's words. He's willing to submit? The space-time Tao Lord and Patriarch Hongjun looked incredulous. They knew full well that in the eternal immortal domains, true immortals were almighty existences who ruled over a region. They were lofty existences who had founded everlasting clans and were incredibly proud. Who would have thought that this true immortal would be so afraid of death? What value do you have that I'll spare your life? Ling Shao asked coldly, glaring at the ugly true immortal. Sirs, I'm very familiar with the eternal immortal domains. I can lead you there. Immortal kings are extremely powerful, but above them are immortal emperors. They're the true rulers of the eternal immortal domains. I know them very well. If you spare my life, I'll do anything. The ugly true immortal said through gritted teeth. He really wasn't willing to die here, so even if he had to lower his proud head and lower his body to face the enemy, he still wanted to live. If that's the case, then swear an oath to the eternal heavenly Tao with your true name. You'll serve me forever and never betray me. Ling Shao said coldly. The ugly true immortal shuddered. The ugly true immortal shuddered. He didn't expect Ling Shao to swear an oath to the eternal heavenly Tao with his true name. His life and death would be in Ling Zhao's hands forever. However, he understood that if he dared to hesitate in the slightest, Ling Shao would definitely kill him. I, Yiliang Shui, swear an oath to the eternal heavenly Tao to serve Sirs Ling Shao forever. If I dare disobey, I'll die a horrible death and never be reincarnated. The ugly true immortal, Yiliang Shui, smiled bitterly as he swore an oath to the eternal heavenly Tao. Yiliang Shui? What's his relationship with Yiliangchen? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a strange light. When he heard Yi Liangshui's name, he took a closer look and realized that the ugly true immortal's face actually resembled Yi Liangchen's. Even his ugliness was unique. Could it be that Yi Liangchen was also from the eternal immortal domains? Chapter 3408. Within the Chaos Sea. The Yorwild's realm seemed to have expanded 1,000 times over, and it radiated an eternal light. The great world was like a resplendent sun, illuminating the entire chaotic sea. It gave off a mysterious presence, causing the chaotic force in the chaotic sea to surge violently, surging towards the great world. Everyone could sense that the Yorwild's realm was still expanding. According to true immortal Yi Liangshui, when the Yorwild's realm expanded to its limit, it would be captured by the eternal heavenly Tao and become part of the eternal immortal domains. For countless years, the eternal immortal domains had been like this. It had been formed by the merging of many eternal worlds, and now it was unimaginably vast. Even an immortal king wouldn't be able to find the borders of the eternal immortal domains even if he used all of his power. Rumble. The world tree had taken root in the center of the Yorwild's realm, gushing with boundless life essence. Ancient worlds had merged with the Yorwild's realm as one. With the world tree, the Yorwild's realm became even more ethereal and mysterious. Although Faith Ling Xiao and Darkness Ling Xiao had refined the world tree's power, they hadn't destroyed its foundation. The world tree had taken root in the Yorwild's realm, and as it breathed in and out chaos energy, it would eventually recover its supreme power. The Yorwild's realm had completely transcended and become an eternal world, enveloped by the eternal heavenly Tao of the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao, Darkness, and Faith sat cross-legged at the top of the world tree, meditating on the eternal heavenly Tao. Once their nascent spirits transformed, they would become true immortal kings. When the primordial chaos Tao Lord Qiankuan, and Tao Lord Xianming had first seen the arrival of the 7 true immortals, they'd thought it was very likely that they would rule over the Yorwild's realm. If they joined the 7 true immortals, they might be able to ascend to the eternal immortal domains one day. But when they saw the 7 true immortals suppressed and Ling Zhao's invincible power, they were thoroughly terrified. What do we do now? We all have a grudge against Ling Xiao. If we don't make a choice now, forget about ascending to the eternal immortal domains, he'll probably come after us. Tao Lord Xianming said nervously. But you want me to join Ling Xiao? I'm not willing to do that. Immemorial Tao Master clenched his fists, his eyes filled with unwillingness. I feel that it might not be a bad thing for us to join Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was so terrifyingly strong that he was most likely an overlord in the eternal immortal domains. If we follow him, we should be able to get a lot of benefits. The Heaven and Earth Tao Master said slowly. Actually, the 3 of you have another choice. At this moment, a bright light bloomed in the void. The wordless heavenly tome appeared before the 3 Tao Lords. Wordless heavenly book? The eyes of the 3 Tao Lords flashed. They naturally recognized the wordless heavenly book. Especially the Dark Nether Tao Lord who had worked together with the wordless heavenly book. You can choose to work with me. When the 7 true immortals arrived, I found the path to the eternal immortal domains. As long as you follow me, I can take you to the eternal immortal domains. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book appeared and said with a faint smile. You. Immemorial Path Master said coldly. You can choose not to believe me, or you can choose to side with Ling Xiao. But in my opinion, following me to the eternal immortal domains is the best choice. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly. Aren't you afraid that the 3 of us will suppress you? The Dark Nether Tao Lord said coldly. Suppress me? You'll have to have the ability to do so. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book sneered. Easy. The wordless heavenly book shone with dazzling light and chaotic mist swirled around it. The shadows of the longevity tower, the cauldron of creation, the primordial pearl, and other chaos treasures appeared around it. However, the wordless heavenly book had devoured all 10 chaos treasures and become a part of it. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book radiated an incomparably terrifying aura. This? You fused 10 chaos treasures? How bold! You're probably a Tao Lord by now. You're qualified to work with us. The universe Tao Lord sucked in a breath of cold air and glanced warily at the vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book. He also realized that even the Lord of the Dark Plane had died at the hands of the wordless heavenly book. It was as if the wordless heavenly book had devoured him and turned him into nourishment. Let me go, Ling Xiao. I can't stay in the Your Wilds any longer. Perhaps I'll be able to find my fortune in the eternal immortal domains. The same goes for all of you. What's your choice? The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly. All right, we'll go with you to the eternal immortal domains. The primordial chaos Tao Lord, the universe Tao Lord, and the dark nether Tao Lord exchanged glances before nodding solemnly. You've made the best choice. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly, but an undetectable glint of surprise flashed through its eyes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Under the guidance of the wordless heavenly book, the primordial chaos Tao Lord and the others took a deep look at the Your Wilds and Ling Xiao. Then, they transformed into streams of light and shot into the depths of the sea of chaos. Ling Xiao, Darkness Ling Xiao, and Faith Ling Xiao sat cross-legged beneath the world tree for over 10,000 years. 10,000 years later, rumble. The Your Wilds trembled violently as a mysterious, blazing light burst forth from within them. Boundless immortal light erupted from their bodies as 3 Tao flowers bloomed above their heads. They'd finally comprehended the laws of the eternal heavenly Tao and transformed their nascent spirits. Ling Xiao's nascent spirit and immortal king body had completely merged, and he'd truly become an immortal king. Faith Ling Xiao had become one with the Your Wilds, becoming the new heavenly Tao of the Your Wilds. On the other hand, Darkness Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with relief. Heh, now that you've become the heavenly Tao of the Your Wilds, take care of all life. I'm going to take my beautiful wives and concubines and wander the sea of chaos. Darkness Ling Xiao stretched lazily and chuckled mischievously. That was Ling Xiao's intention. He had to go to the eternal immortal domains in the end. Given Darkness Ling Xiao's lazy personality, he wasn't suited to become the heavenly Tao. Therefore, the heavy responsibility of becoming the heavenly Tao fell on Faith Ling Xiao. Faith Ling Xiao was the great Tao of the Your Wilds, and the true ruler of all life in the 3 realms. Ling Xiao, I've already searched through the cycles of reincarnation, but I haven't found Zhao Ritian's true spirit. I have a hunch that as soon as the Your Wilds world ascended, many of the true spirits were drawn to the eternal immortal domains. It's very likely that Zhao Ritian has been reincarnated in the eternal immortal domains. Faith Ling Xiao said to Ling Xiao, The eternal immortal domains? Perfect. When I go to the eternal immortal domains, I'll find Senior Kunwu Mountain and Zhao Ritian and bring them back. Light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he spoke softly. Furthermore, I've already built a statue of Senior Kunwu Mountain in the Your Wilds. Senior Kunwu Mountain fed the Tao with his own body and protected all life in the Your Wilds. He is the true totem of the Your Wilds, and all life must remember his virtuous deeds. Faith Ling Xiao said slowly, Of course. From now on, Senior Kunwu Mountain will be the only totem of the Your Wilds. A look of longing appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. Without the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, Ling Xiao would have died long ago under the eternal heavenly Tao, and the Your Wilds would have fallen into the hands of the 7 true immortals. That would have been the darkest era of the Your Wilds. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain deserved to be remembered by all life. Ling Xiao, what do you plan to do next? Faith Ling Xiao asked. I'm tired after all these years. I want to spend some time with my family, Jinsei, and Chongqing. Once the dust has settled, I'll go to the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and his eyes shone with incomparable relief. All these years, he had been fighting for his life against the heavens. His nerves had always been stretched taut. He had constantly become stronger, constantly breaking through, and shouldering the responsibilities that belonged to him. Now it was time to let go. That's good. You should spend some time with Jinsei, Xuewei and Chongqing. Xuewei is about to give birth, isn't she? After 10,000 years of pregnancy, the child will definitely be incredible. Darkness, Ling Xiao said with a smile. At this moment, a figure with dazzling immortal light streaked across the sky. It was the true immortal who had surrendered to Ling Xiao, Yiliang Shuai. Master, mistress has given birth. It's a fat boy with a connate great Dao body. His talent is unparalleled throughout the ages, and he's on par with the connate chaotic body. Yiliang Shuai said with a smile. After 10,000 years here, he had gradually become more obedient. He and Yiliangchen were birds of a feather, and had even become sworn brothers. Yiliang Shuai thought Yiliangchen was a member of his family, so he wanted to bring Yiliangchen back to the Yi family to acknowledge his ancestors. She gave birth? Great. My son has finally been born. Ling Zhao's body trembled, and his eyes shone with excitement. He transformed into a beam of dazzling immortal light and shot toward the Lingxiao celestial court. In the heavenly court, a frail Xuewei held a beautiful porcelain doll in her arms. Her eyes were filled with incomparable happiness. Xuewei, are you all right? Ling Xiao rushed in, looking at Xuewei with eyes full of pity. Master, I'm fine. This is our child. I've finally given birth to a child for you. Xuewei said with incomparable happiness. Xuewei, you've worked hard. Is this our son Ling Huang? Look, his eyes are like yours and his mouth is like mine. Ling Xiao also carried the baby lovingly and was filled with joy. This child was called Ling Huang. To commemorate the Eldritch world's transcendence, and to commemorate the Eldritch Master. Ling Xiao also had high hopes for him. He hoped that when he grew up, he would be able to rule the world. Father, little brother looks like me the most. Chongqing interjected from the side. Chongqing was wearing a white dress. She was tall and had grown into a young lady. She had a unique aura that was very similar to Jinsei. However, her naive and romantic personality did not change at all. The surrounding people, the Reincarnation Emperor, the Flowing Time Emperor, the Old Goat, Yiliangchen, and Taoist Wuyang all laughed. Ling Huang grew up day by day. The connate Great Tao Constitution was born to understand the origin of the Great Tao. He was a natural-born saint, and his talent was unparalleled throughout history. His personality was very similar to Jinsei's. He was very obedient and did not make a fuss. Even at such a young age, he had already shown the demeanor of a gentleman. Over the years, Ling Xiao had accompanied his parents and wife. He had brought them to travel the Eldritch world and the Chaos Sea. He had witnessed this eternal and magnificent world. These were the happiest days of Ling Xiao's life. There was no pressure, no threat, only a faint sense of happiness. Just like that, 10,000 years passed. Ling Xiao still had to embark on his journey to the eternal immortal domain. Although Jinsei and Xuewei were very reluctant to part with him, they did not stop him. They only repeatedly reminded Ling Xiao to be careful and take care of himself. Don't worry, I'll be back soon to pick you up. Ling Xiao said seriously. Faced with the reluctant gazes of the crowd, Ling Xiao also felt extremely reluctant and emotional. Go, a man's ambition is to travel the world. Ling Xiao, have a safe journey. Although Ling Zhen and the Reincarnation Emperor were reluctant to part with him, they still smiled and gave him their blessings. Until we meet again, everyone. Ling Zhao's gaze swept across his family and friends as he spoke with a smile. In the end, he abruptly turned around, and his entire body erupted with dazzling immortal light. In an instant he shot towards the boundless sea of chaos. Yiliang Shuai, the Hongjun Patriarch, and the Spacetime Tao Lord followed closely behind. With this departure, the Eldritch world would lose a domineering eternal emperor, and the eternal immortal domain would gain an invincible immortal king. There was no telling when he would return, but he could only hope for the future. Author's note: this is the end of Eternal Immortal Emperor's story. Originally, I wanted to end it here, but many readers wanted me to continue writing about the eternal immortal domains. So, starting tomorrow, I'll continue to write about the eternal immortal domains. Now, I just need to prepare for the new book. Thank you for your support over the past few years. See you again in the underworld. Chapter 3409. The Eternal Immortal Domains. This was the center of spacetime. It was said that the eternal immortal domains consisted of 129,600 provinces, each of which spanned millions of miles. It was like a kiliocosm of its own, vast and boundless. The Qianyuan Province. The Qianyuan Province was located at the edge of the eternal immortal domains, but it was a beautiful place filled with immortal mountains, great lakes, and towering ancient trees. Exotic flowers and plants could be seen everywhere, and immortal light and auspicious vapors filled the air. The ruler of the Qianyuan province was the everlasting Zhao family. The ancestor of the Zhao family was known as the Qianyuan Immortal King. He had founded the Zhao family and made it the undisputed ruler of the Qianyuan province. Countless factions, ancient clans, and sects in the Qianyuan province acknowledged their allegiance. Although the Zhao family was in decline, they still had an immortal king standing guard. A few years ago, a natural-born paragon with the potential to become an immortal king had been born into the world, shocking all of the Qianyuan province. The Immortal Ascension Plateau. This was a celestial mountain in the Qianyuan province. It was tens of thousands of feet tall and had a majestic aura. It was ancient and mysterious, especially at the peak of the mountain. It seemed to have been cut off by a sword, and a huge square surrounded by clouds appeared. Celestial light lingered around it, and a sea of clouds rose. Today, many of the top sects, aristocratic clans, and rogue cultivators of the Qianyuan province had gathered at the Immortal Ascension Plateau. The natural-born paragon of the Zhao family was going to choose his followers and go out on a journey. Being able to follow a natural-born paragon was the glory of countless geniuses, and they were all eager to be chosen. I heard that when the natural-born paragon of the Zhao family was born, strange phenomena descended from the heavens. Immortal qi spread for 30 million miles, and he was accompanied by a precious treasure. The entire Qianyuan province was shaken. Isn't that so? Why is he called a natural-born paragon? I heard that when he was born, he had the power of a paragon, and his talent was unparalleled. The Zhao family's patriarch called him the Qilin child, and he has the potential to become an immortal king in the future. The Zhao family is so lucky. I heard that their immortal king patriarch suffered a Dao injury in his early years, and is about to pass away. If that's true, then the Zhao family's position as the ruler of the Qianyuan province will be at stake. That's right. Many families with true immortals were eager to compete with the Zhao family for the position of overlord. But now, with the appearance of the Zhao family's innate sovereign, they immediately gave up. They even fought to send their holy sons and holy daughters to follow the innate sovereign. I've heard that the Zhao clan's natural-born supremacy has celestial skin and jade bones. Although he's a man, he has a peerless appearance. If I could meet him, this trip would be worth it. On the Immortal Ascension platform, the crowd discussed fervently. Many of the geniuses looked on with anticipation. Silence. Not long after, a thunderous voice exploded in the void. Boom. It was as if a dazzling immortal sun was hanging high in the sky, emitting dazzling immortal light. That everlasting and indestructible aura caused everyone to tremble and involuntarily lower their heads. It's a true immortal has descended. Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with awe. High in the sky, an ancient immortal gate appeared. A figure with a terrifying aura stepped out from it and appeared in the sky above the Immortal Ascension platform. It was an old man with white hair and a white beard. His face was dignified and his eyes were cold. He had an air of superiority about him. In the eternal immortal domains, only those who had reached the true immortal realm could live forever. Their lifespans were endless, and they possessed shocking battle prowess. True immortals could even establish everlasting families, occupy a sacred land, and dominate a region. Everlasting families like the Zhao family, which had immortal kings, were the rulers of a province. They ruled over the world, and all living things submitted to them. Everyone's eyes were filled with envy and awe as they looked at the true immortal. The 12 realms of cultivation were like the 12 floors of the 12 heavenly gates. Only after reaching the peak of the 12 realms could one pass the immortal tribulation and become a true immortal. However, it was extremely difficult to reach the 12th realm, let alone break through to the true immortal realm. The Zhao family's holy son is about to arrive. Everyone pay your respects. The true immortal looked down at everyone, his expression indifferent as he spoke slowly. The Zhao family's holy son is about to arrive? Everyone's body trembled, and they immediately bowed and saluted. Buzz. Immortal light flickered in the 9 heavens, and the sound of the great Tao seemed to linger. A mysterious Taoist rhyme filled the air, turning the place into an immortal realm of enlightenment. Everyone trembled. They felt an unprecedented sense of tranquility, as if their cultivation levels had risen by leaps and bounds. A figure walked out of the gate of immortality. You may all rise. A gentle and clear voice rang out. Everyone looked up at the same time, and then they were instantly stunned. He was a perfect and flawless young man. Although he was a man, he was even more handsome than the fairies of the 9 heavens. His peerless appearance made even heaven and earth pale in comparison. He was dressed in a long white robe, and immortal light swirled around him. The great Tao's fortune intertwined, and as soon as he appeared, it was as if the mountains, rivers, and veins of the earth began to boil. His figure was tall and straight, and his face was like jade. There was a faint smile on his lips, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. He was extremely mysterious. Faintly, there seemed to be immortal dragons and immortal phoenixes dancing around him. All kinds of rare beasts appeared, making him look like the king of all immortals. Behind him, there were 2 beautiful maids. One was holding a sword, and the other was holding a zither. Although they were maids, they had looks that made the saintesses feel ashamed. Their figures were tall and graceful, and their skin was like jade. Their temperament was otherworldly, and they were out of this world. He was the Zhao family's holy son, born to be supreme, Zhao Hao. The moment they saw Zhao Hao, everyone's heart was filled with admiration, and their eyes were filled with extreme fanaticism. Only such a peerless figure could make these arrogant geniuses willingly follow him. After Zhao Hao appeared, he didn't say a word, but he had already subdued everyone's hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the selection this time. I will be leaving the family to experience the world, and I need to choose 3 followers. Those who are willing to follow me, please step forward and tell me your names. I will choose one by one. Zhao Hao's expression was gentle, and his eyes were extremely clear. He swept his gaze across the people on the immortal ascension stage, giving them a feeling of being bathed in a spring breeze. Some people were full of confidence when they came, but now they were ashamed of their inferiority and didn't dare to step forward. Greetings to the Holy Son. I am Tuoba Hong, the successor of the Tuoba family, and I am a half-step supreme being. I am willing to follow the Holy Son. A burly figure, holding a heavenly halberd, stepped forward. His aura was strong and wild, and he looked like a demon god. He was like a golden mountain that had toppled a jade pillar. He knelt down on one knee in front of Zhao Hao and said seriously, Tuoba Hong? He's here too? The Tuoba family is also an everlasting family, and there are true immortals in the family. It is said that Tuoba Hong has the body of a demon immortal, and he has the potential to become a true immortal. I didn't expect him to be willing to become the Holy Son's follower. Someone exclaimed in a low voice, his eyes filled with disbelief. Tuoba Hong's talent was extraordinary, and he was famous in the Qinyuan state. Not to mention, he was a half-step supreme being and was only 1 step away from breaking through to the supreme being realm. The moment Tuoba Hong stepped forward, a few more geniuses stepped forward. Greetings to the Holy Son. I am Wang Lin, a disciple of the 9 Sons divine sect, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Son. Greetings to the Holy Son. I am Feng Mian, a disciple of the Feng family, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Son. Greetings to the Holy Son. I am Yun Yi, a disciple of the Cloud Celestial sect, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. Those few elite geniuses were all emitting powerful auras. Their faces were cold, and there was a sharp glint in their eyes. In fact, the way they looked at one another was filled with arrogance. One genius after another stepped forward. They were all famous geniuses in the Qianyuan state, and it was an eye-opener for everyone. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Jian Qingmei, the successor of the Sword Pavilion, and I am a half-step supreme being. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. At this moment, another person stepped forward. It was a valiant woman in green with an ancient sword on her back. Although she was not very beautiful, she was full of heroic spirit. Her whole body exuded a peerless sharpness, like an unsheathed immortal sword. She did not kneel to Zhao Hao, but bowed slightly. There was no reverence in her eyes when she looked at Zhao Hao. Instead, it was filled with a strong fighting spirit. She is the successor of the Sword Pavilion? It is said that the true immortal of the Sword Pavilion has reached the peak of the true immortal realm, right? It is said that it is very likely that he will break through to the immortal king realm within 10,000 years. Jian Qingmei, before Zhao Hao was born, was known as the #1 genius in the Qianyuan state. She was born with the body of a sword immortal, and her sword heart was bright. She has supreme talent in swordsmanship. She is also here? Jian Qingmei's appearance shocked everyone. The former #1 genius in the Qianyuan state was also here? Although she was only a half-step supreme being, 10 years ago, when she was still at the 11th realm, the Imperial Tao realm, she had already gone against the odds and killed supremes with her sword. When such a peerless figure appeared, even Tao Bahong was overshadowed. When they saw Tao Bahong and Jian Qingmei appear, many people who were eager to try retreated. How could they compete with these two? For a moment, everyone was silent. There were only 3 spots, and they felt that there was no hope. Greetings, Holy Sun. I am willing to follow His Highness, Holy Sun. I will even be your servant without any complaints. I only ask His Highness, Holy Sun, to promise me one thing. Just when everyone thought that no one would come out, a figure passed through the crowd and came in front of Zhao Hao. It was a woman in white with a veil on her face. She was surrounded by immortal light. Although her face could not be seen clearly, her graceful figure had an invisible charm that spread out. When everyone saw her back, they could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. Could it be her? Someone's heart skipped a beat, as if they had already guessed the woman's origin. Why don't you show your true face? My Holy Sun has not chosen you yet. How dare you make conditions? The true immortal's eyes were cold as he said indifferently. His gaze fell on the woman in white. As if millions of mountains were pressing down on her, the woman in white could not help but tremble. Her forehead was full of sweat, as if she was trying her best to hold on. The pressure of a true immortal could turn heaven and earth upside down. How could a mere half-step supreme being like her withstand it? Uncle Yun, let her finish. Zhao Hao looked at the true immortal and said with a smile. The Holy Sun is merciful and will not lower himself to your level. But if you dare to lie, don't blame me for killing you here. The true immortal snorted coldly and dispersed his immortal Tao pressure. The woman in white heaved a sigh of relief and looked up at Zhao Hao. Although her face was covered by a light veil, her pair of large, soul-stirring eyes seemed to contain a sky full of stars. They were dazzling and filled with a kind of delicate beauty, making people unable to help but feel pity for her. Greetings, Holy Sun. I covered my face with a veil because I did not want to cause trouble. But in front of the Holy Sun, I should show my true face. The woman in white smiled bitterly. Then she reached out with her slender fingers and took off her veil. A peerless face appeared in front of everyone. The world suddenly lost its color. It was a flawless face, as if it was the masterpiece of the Creator. It was filled with exquisite beauty and was extremely beautiful. In particular, the seductive aura emitted from her body caused all the male cultivators to involuntarily look at her, unable to shift their gazes away. Even the true immortal elder in the void could not help but look at her a few more times. It's her? After taking off her veil, someone immediately recognized her identity. Murong Inshue. It could be said that this name was known by everyone in the entire Qianyuan province. Murong Inshue, the #1 beauty of the Qianyuan state. She was once the successor of the Murong family. Not only was she peerless, but she also had unparalleled talent. The Murong family was an everlasting family with a true immortal overseeing it. 10 years ago, Murong Inshue caught the eye of the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect in the Azure Dragon state. The Azure Dragon Immortal sect was the ruler of the Azure Dragon state and also had an immortal king overseeing it. However, the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect was notorious. He cultivated an evil immortal art that harvested yang to nourish yin. Countless women were harmed by him. Murong Inshue was naturally seductive. One could imagine how crazy the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would be when he saw her. Murong Inshue naturally did not comply. She even chased away the messengers sent by the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. In the end, 10 years ago, the Immortal King Patriarch of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect personally took action and killed everyone in the Murong family. When the Immortal King of the Zhao family arrived, it was already too late. Although he fought a great battle with the Immortal King of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect, he was unable to do anything to the other party and retreated. This matter shook the entire Qianyuan state. However, for some unknown reason, the Murong family was completely annihilated, and Murong Inshue escaped. There was no news of her for 10 years. Who would have thought that Murong Inshue would appear here and want to become Zhao Hao's follower? Successor, she's Murong Inshue. 10 years ago, the Murong family was completely annihilated by the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. So, you can't accept her. In the void, the true immortal transmitted his voice to Zhao Hao and told him about the Murong family. I see. Zhao Hao nodded. If that was the case, then Murong Inshue's condition was self-evident. It was nothing more than revenge for the Murong family. Murong Inshue, I can't agree to your condition. Zhao Hao looked at Murong Inshue and said indifferently. Although he sympathized with Murong Inshue's situation, he was the successor of the Zhao family. He could not ignore the safety of the Zhao family. The Zhao family was currently facing internal and external troubles. When news of the old ancestors' Dao injury spread, many people in the Qianyuan state were ready to make a move, let alone the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. Provoking the Azure Dragon Immortal sect at this time was no different from death. Murong Inshue's eyes dimmed, but she still showed a trace of stubbornness and said, Lord Successor, you haven't heard my condition. I believe you'll agree to it. I won't agree to any condition. Zhao Hao smiled indifferently and shook his head. Murong Inshue's condition was only the Murong family's hidden treasure. However, Zhao Hao really did not care about a mere true immortal's hidden treasure. Murong Inshue transmitted her voice to Zhao Hao. When he heard Murong Inshue's words, Zhao Hao's body shook and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Are you serious? If there's even the slightest falsehood, let me die without a burial place. Murong Inshue said resolutely. If what you've said is true, when it's within my power, I'll naturally avenge you. However, I don't want anyone to lie to me. Zhao Hao transmitted his voice. Murong Inshue did not say anything, but her resolute gaze proved everything. Alright. Murong Inshue, from today onwards, you're my follower. Zhao Hao pondered for a moment and said indifferently. What? Everyone was in an uproar. They originally thought that Zhao Hao would definitely reject Murong Inshue, but they never thought that Zhao Hao would actually agree. Murong Inshue was such a big trouble that no one in the entire Qianyuan province dared to touch, but Zhao Hao actually dared to accept her? Was he not afraid that the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would cause trouble for the Zhao family? Or did Zhao Hao take a fancy to Murong Inshue's beauty? They could not figure it out. No! The true immortal also hurriedly dissuaded him. Uncle Yun, don't worry. I naturally have my own considerations for accepting Murong Inshue. I won't harm the Zhao family's interests. I'll personally talk to the patriarch about this matter. I believe that he'll definitely agree. Zhao Hao said patiently. Sigh, You've been very opinionated since you were young. Since that's the case, I won't persuade you anymore. I hope that you'll still listen to the patriarch's opinion on this matter." The true immortal sighed softly. "Don't worry." Zhao Hao smiled indifferently. Then his gaze fell on Tuoba Hong and Jian Qingmei. "Tuoba Hong, Jian Qingmei, you'll be my second and third followers. Now, the three of you can follow me back to the Zhao family." Zhao Hao said indifferently. It was not surprising that Tuoba Hong would follow him. After all, the Toba family had always been the most loyal followers of the Zhao family. As for Jian Qingmei, the former #1 genius of the Qianyuan province, she was following him. He could tell from her gaze that she wanted to defeat him and was unwilling to accept it. However, Zhao Hao was confident that he could make them truly submit. After Zhao Hao finished speaking, the true immortal waved his sleeve and immediately swept up Murong Inxue, Tuoba Hong, and Jian Qingmei. Together with Zhao Hao, they entered the immortal sect and returned to the Zhao family. As for the geniuses on the immortal ascension stage, they naturally beat their chests and stamped their feet in regret. Although they knew that this would happen, they still felt extremely regretful. Murong Inxue had actually become Zhao Hao's follower. If this news spread, it would probably shake the entire Qianyuan province. At that time, even the Azure Dragon Immortal sect in the Azure Dragon province would be alarmed. There was going to be a storm in the Qianyuan province. P.S. The extras have officially started. However, I've been focusing on preparing the new book recently. The time for the extras to be updated is not fixed. Everyone can read it once in a while. The extras will give everyone a perfect ending. Chapter 34:10. Zhao Family. The immortal mountains and pure lands within a radius of 1,000,000 li were all enveloped by a huge formation barrier. This was the core area of the Zhao family, and only the core clansmen could live here. The immortal mountains were beautiful and filled with resplendent immortal light. Auspicious vapors rose, multicolored light shot out in tens of thousands of zhang, and there were towering ancient trees everywhere. In the mountain forest, immortal birds and auspicious beasts ran about, and all kinds of strange flowers and herbs could be seen everywhere. The void was filled with a mysterious Dao aura. This was the Dao field of an immortal king, and also the ancestral land of a long-life family that had been passed down for countless years. Therefore, this place was also contaminated with a trace of eternal heavenly Dao aura, mysterious and unfathomable. The people who lived here, even if they didn't break through to the true immortal realm, still had a long lifespan. Tuoba Yi, Jian Qingmei, and Murong Inxue followed Zhao Hao to an immortal mountain. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. This was especially true for Tuoba Yi and Jian Qingmei. Although they also came from a long-life family, and there were true immortals overseeing the sect and clan, they had never seen such an immortal mountain and pure land filled with Dao aura. Their eyes were filled with shock. This was the foundation of a top long-life family. With an immortal king establishing a clan, it far surpassed ordinary long-life families. Zhao Hao lived alone in an immortal mountain. There were many pavilions and palaces on the immortal mountain, and there was a scenery every 10 steps. It looked incomparably mysterious. Countless beautiful maids, each of them lithe and graceful, were cultivation geniuses in the outside world, but here, they could only serve as ordinary maids, serving Zhao Hao's daily life. The three of you can stay here for now. After a while, I will leave the family to train. Just follow me. Zhao Hao said slowly to the three of them, and then indicated for the maids to bring them to find a place to stay. Zhao Hao left the immortal mountain to find the old ancestor of the Zhao family. Ever since the Zhao family's immortal king ancestor was injured 10 years ago, he had been in seclusion to heal his injuries. In the Zhao family, even if the Zhao family's patriarch wanted to see the immortal king ancestor, he had to report in advance. Only Zhao Hao could see the immortal king ancestor at any time without any restrictions. From this, one could see Zhao Hao's status in the Zhao family. Zhao Hao turned into a divine rainbow and soared into the sky, directly arriving at the peak of a floating immortal mountain above the 9 heavens. At the peak of the celestial mountain, light shone resplendently. A sea of clouds rose, and mysterious celestial light lingered. It looked incomparably mysterious. A jade talisman appeared in the palm of Zhao Hao's hand. The jade talisman was activated by him, emitting a dazzling light. Then, an ancient immortal gate appeared in the sea of clouds. Zhao Hao took a step forward and entered the immortal gate. Inside the gate of immortality was a mysterious space. Here, the source of the great Tao interweaved, immortal light lingered, and auspicious energy rose. In the void, there seemed to be golden lotuses blooming, ancient divine beasts, and the mysterious scene of all creatures praying. At the center of the phenomenon sat an old man with white hair and a beard. The old man sat there with his legs crossed. His face was calm and his eyes were slightly closed. His entire body was exuding an ethereal and mysterious Taoist rhyme. He looked like a very ordinary old man, but sometimes he looked like the ruler of all living beings, the king of immortals who was worshipped by all living beings. He was the Zhao family's celestial king patriarch, Zhao Yunyang. "How, you've come?" An ancient and weathered voice resounded. The celestial king patriarch slowly opened his eyes. His eyes seemed to contain the sun, moon, and stars, as well as the mysterious scene of the birth and death of the world. His gaze fell on Zhao Hao, but there was a hint of benevolence and gentleness in it. "Grandson greets the patriarch." Zhao Hao respectfully bowed to the celestial king patriarch. "Rise. This time, you went to the immortal ascension platform to choose your followers. Did you choose anyone suitable?" The celestial king patriarch smiled faintly. With a wave of his sleeve, Zhao Hao immediately stood up. Reporting to the patriarch. This time, his grandson had chosen a total of 3 followers. One is Tuoba Yi of the Toba family, one is the successor of the Sword Pavilion, Jian Qingmei, and the last one is Murong Inxue of the Murong family. Zhao Hao did not hide anything and recounted everything that had happened on the immortal ascension platform. Tuoba Yi has the demon immortal body and has the potential to become a true immortal. Jian Qingmei has the natural sword body and the heart of the sword. She also has the potential to become a true immortal. They have the qualifications to be your followers. However, Murong Inxue, can you tell me why you chose him? The celestial king patriarch's eyes flashed, and he smiled faintly. Naturally, he knew about Tuoba Yi and Jian Qingmei. As for Murong Inshue's identity, he knew better than anyone else. Reporting to the patriarch, "I didn't want to accept Murong Inxue. I didn't want to bring trouble to the Zhao family. However, Murong Inxue told me that she knows of an emperor-grade celestial herb in Hanging Sword Mountain. I want to go to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain to find an emperor-grade celestial herb and bring it back to heal you," Zhao Hao said earnestly. The reason he was willing to accept Murong Inxue was because Murong Inxue had paid an unbearable price and temptation. An emperor-grade celestial herb. In the eternal immortal domains, only 1 in 10,000 could be called an immortal herb. They contained the fragments of the eternal heavenly Tao's laws and were extremely precious. However, most of the immortal herbs in the eternal immortal domains were inferior and mediocre grade. Superior and supreme grade immortal herbs were extremely rare. As for king grade immortal herbs, they could only be found in secret realms, forbidden lands, and other treasured lands. As for emperor grade immortal herbs, they were priceless treasures. Legend had it that emperor grade immortal herbs contained the complete laws of the eternal heavenly Tao. They could steal the fortunes of heaven and earth and allow celestial kings to advance further. Even celestial emperors would be tempted by an emperor-grade immortal herb, let alone a supreme celestial king. Therefore, Zhao Yunyang couldn't help but tremble when he heard the words, emperor-grade immortal herb. His eyes widened in shock. Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm? Judging by the time, the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain is about to open. I've read about it in some ancient records. A long time ago, an immortal emperor died on the Hanging Sword Mountain. The immortal emperor's laws evolved into the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm and gave birth to an emperor-grade immortal herb. However, No one has been able to obtain the emperor-grade immortal herb for countless years. If what Murong Inshue said is true, does it mean that emperor-grade immortal herbs really exist? Zhao Yunyang stood up and slowly paced back and forth. His eyes were filled with deep thought. If an emperor-grade immortal herb really appeared, even celestial kings would fight for it. However, the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain was extremely unique. It contained mysterious immortal emperor laws that restricted entry to those above the true immortal realm. Only those below the true immortal realm were allowed to enter. Ancestor, Murong Inshue's words don't seem to be false. Moreover, lying to me won't do her any good. After all, she wants me to avenge her. Therefore, I'd like to make a trip to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. If I can find an emperor-grade immortal herb, not only will you be able to recover from your injuries, but you might even advance further. Zhao Hao said earnestly. You're a good child, but how difficult would it be to advance further? You're only a half-step supreme now. I'm a little worried about you going to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. Zhao Yunyang's gaze was extremely gentle as he looked deeply into Zhao Hao's eyes. Zhao Hao was an innate paragon. The moment he was born, he was already at the peak of the Supreme Being realm. He was extremely powerful. However, in order to let him build a solid foundation so that he could break through to the Immortal King realm in the future, or even higher realms, Zhao Yunyang directly sealed all of his cultivation and made him cultivate from the beginning. There were 12 realms below the true immortal realm in the eternal immortal realm. They were also known as the 12 heavens of rebirth and the 12 steps of immortal ascension. They were the Qi refinement realm, foundation establishment realm, golden core realm, nascent soul realm, soul transformation realm, void refinement realm, body integration realm, Mahayana realm, tribulation transcendence realm, celestial realm, imperial Tao realm, and supreme realm. Even though Zhao Hao's cultivation had been sealed and he had to cultivate from the Qi refining realm, his talent was unparalleled and heaven-defying. In just a few decades, he had cultivated back to half-step supreme. Ancestor, although I'm a half-step supreme, ordinary supremes are no match for me. Not to mention, I have the origin ancient seal. Zhao Hao smiled faintly. His palm glowed with immortal light as an ancient and mysterious seal appeared. It was Zhao Hao's lifelong treasure, which Zhao Yunyang called the origin ancient seal. Not only was the ancient seal made of mysterious and precious materials, but it was also stained with the origin laws of the eternal heavenly way. In Zhao Yunyang's opinion, the origin ancient seal might even evolve into an immortal emperor weapon. It was very likely to be Zhao Hao's ultimate treasure. How? Your origin ancient seal is extremely precious. You can't reveal it easily, and you can't let anyone see it. Do you understand? You have to kill anyone who sees him. Zhao Yunyang said with a serious expression. This lifetime treasure had the potential to become a Tao-confirming treasure in the future. Even immortal kings would be incomparably moved after seeing it. Therefore, in the entire Zhao clan, many people knew that Zhao Hao had a lifelong treasure, but only Zhao Hao and Zhao Yunyang had seen the origin ancient seal. Even Zhao Hao's parents had not seen it. Ancestor, I understand. Zhao Hao nodded his head seriously. There's one more thing. You must pay attention to your safety. Hanging Sword Mountain is located between Qinyuan State, Azure Dragon State, and Baiming State. But just 2 days ago, the immortal king ancestor of the great Ming immortal kingdom of Baiming State was killed. Zhao Yunyang said slowly. What? Zhao Hao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Immortal kings had endless lifespans, and their primordial spirits were entrusted with the eternal heavenly way. It could be said that they were immortal. Even immortal kings of the same realm could not kill immortal kings unless they had heaven-defying divine abilities or powerful immortal weapons. It was said that the immortal king ancestor of the great Ming immortal kingdom of Baiming State was similar to Zhao Yunyang in strength. He was only slightly weaker than the immortal king of Azure Dragon State. Could it be that a quasi-emperor level expert made a move? Zhaoist. With the strength and trump cards of that immortal king ancestor, even a 9th heaven immortal king expert would find it difficult to kill him. Only a quasi-emperor could easily kill him. No. It is said that the person who killed the great Ming immortal king was also an immortal king expert. That immortal king expert seemed to have come from the primal chaos sea. For some reason, he clashed with the great Ming immortal king and then a shocking battle broke out. The great Ming immortal king was killed by him. Zhao Yunyang's eyes were filled with emotion and reverence. To be able to easily kill the great Ming immortal king, if he wanted to deal with him and the Azure Dragon immortal king, it wouldn't be difficult. Therefore, Zhao Yunyang and the Azure Dragon immortal king had been paying attention to every movement in the Biming state during this period of time. They were afraid that the nameless immortal king would come to the Qianyuan state and the Azure Dragon state. Therefore, even if the Azure Dragon immortal sect knew that Zhao Hao had taken Murong Inxue in, they probably wouldn't have the time to come to the Zhao family to denounce them. From the Primal Chaos Sea? The Primal Chaos Sea is boundless and is known as the land of exile. The living beings there are incomparably weak, like ants. Is there actually an immortal king expert? Zhao Hao was also incomparably shocked. He could vaguely feel that the Qianyuan state was about to enter an eventful period. He felt a sense of urgency in his heart. At this time, he had to go to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain to look for the Emperor-grade celestial medicine. Only when the Patriarch's injuries were healed and his cultivation base increased greatly would he have the strength to protect the Zhao family and Zhao Hao. Although the Primal Chaos Sea is known as the Land of Exile, there are probably many immortal kings in it. That nameless immortal king killed the great Ming immortal king. I'm afraid he has caused a lot of trouble. After all, the great Ming immortal king is a member of the Truth Celestial Court. I'm afraid the Truth Celestial Court won't let this matter rest. When he mentioned the Truth Celestial Court, Zhao Yunyang's eyes were filled with deep reverence. The Truth Celestial Court was the supreme celestial court founded by the Truth Celestial Emperor. It was the true ruler of thousands of provinces. In name, the Qianyuan state and the Azure Dragon state were also under the rule of the Truth Celestial Court. No matter what, I'm afraid this land is no longer peaceful. You can go to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, but you must be careful. If you encounter any danger, crush the immortal talisman that the Patriarch gave you and the Patriarch will come. Zhao Yunyang said seriously to Zhao Hao. Yes, Patriarch. Zhao Hao nodded respectfully. Very good. Experts kill their way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It will be difficult for you to become a true expert if you continue to be under my protection. This is your experience and your path to becoming an expert. You will have to rely on yourself from now on. Zhao Yunyang looked at Zhao Hao with an expectant gaze. He had already regarded Zhao Hao as the hope of the Zhao clan. The Zhao clan now looked incomparably peaceful, but there were turbulent undercurrents. Those true immortal experts of the Zhao clan probably had no hope of breaking through to the immortal king realm in this lifetime. However, Zhao Hao was different. Zhao Hao had the potential to become an immortal king and could even go further than Zhao Yunyang. Zhao Yunyang had placed endless expectations on him. Yes, Patriarch. I will remember it. Zhao Hao nodded seriously. Then he turned around and left, returning to the immortal mountain where he lived. Did the Patriarch agree to let you take Murong Inxue in? On the immortal mountain, the true immortal Zhao Hao called Uncle Yun was waiting for Zhao Hao. When he saw Zhao Hao return, he asked. That's right. I'm going to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain with Murong Inxue. There is hope for the Patriarch's cultivation to recover and even improve further. Zhao Hao said slowly. Is that so? Good. I'll go with you. A sharp light flashed in Uncle Yun's eyes as he nodded deeply. He understood why Zhao Hao wanted to take Murong Inxue in. If he could heal the Patriarch's injuries and even improve the Patriarch's cultivation, not to mention taking Murong Inxue in, even if he had to become the enemy of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, or even start a war, what was the big deal? Thank you, Uncle Yun. Zhao Hao said with a smile. Uncle Yun was loyal to the Patriarch and was sent by the Patriarch to protect Zhao Hao. He could be said to have watched Zhao Hao grow up with his own eyes, so his feelings for Zhao Hao were not ordinary. Zhao Hao naturally respected Uncle Yun, so he didn't hide anything from him. Before going to the Hanging Sword Mountain, I have to make some preparations, Zhao Hao said with a smile, then returned to his residence. After Zhao Hao set up several barriers, he took out the Origin Source Ancient Seal. He injected his magic power, and the Origin Source Ancient Seal trembled slightly. An incomparably illusory figure seemed to appear within it. Second Senior, how is my trip to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain going? Zhao Hao asked. The Origin Source Ancient Seal was his lifelong treasure, but he did not expect that the Origin Source Ancient Seal would have an incomparably mysterious artifact spirit that had gradually awakened in recent years. However, the artifact spirit seemed to be a little confused. Other than vaguely remembering that his surname was Second, he could not remember anything else. However, because the Origin Source Ancient Seal was tainted with the aura of the Eternal Heaven Way, the artifact spirit was able to divine Zhao Hao's fortune. Relying on the artifact spirit's divination, Zhao Hao had avoided several calamities. Buzz. The Origin Source Ancient Seal trembled slightly, flickering with flickering light. The artifact spirit seemed to be divining. After a while, a voice was heard. This trip is a great omen, and there may even be a bloody disaster. However, you can turn misfortune into blessings, and with the help of a benefactor, you will be able to survive. Zhao Hao frowned slightly. A great omen? Turn misfortune into blessings? It seems that this trip to the Hanging Sword Mountain is not as simple as I thought. Zhao Hao became more cautious. Zhao Hao stored the various pills, weapons, talismans, and formation discs that he had prepared over the years. He even brought along some powerful one-time use supreme treasures from the clan's vault. For this trip to Hanging Sword Mountain, Zhao Hao could be said to have made ample preparations. 3 days later, a void treasure ship stopped in the air above the Zhao family. Many genius disciples from the Zhao clan boarded the void treasure ship. They were preparing to head to the Two-World Mountain Secret Zone to train under Uncle Yun's lead. The Two-World Mountain Secret Zone opened once every 10,000 years. The Great Ming Celestial Empire, the Zhao clan, and the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect were the rulers of the 3 prefectures. They would send their disciples to train in the secret zone. There were many natural treasures and supreme celestial herbs in the Two-World Mountain Secret Zone. Therefore, there were many conflicts between the 3 great forces every time they went to train in the secret zone. Although Zhao Hao was going to look for Emperor-grade celestial herbs, he did not want to attract any attention since he was among the disciples. I heard that there's a sword Immortal Jade Annulus in the Hanging Sword Mountain. Not only does it contain the supreme sword Tao left behind by the Sword Immortal, but it also allows one to spar with the Sword Immortal. I'd like to see the sword Immortal Jade Annulus. Jian Qingmei's eyes were filled with eagerness and a strong will to fight. Tuoba Yi had also heard of the Hanging Sword Mountain Secret Zone, but he had never entered it before. He was also excited to be able to go with Zhao Hao. Murong Inxue was the only one who had attracted a lot of attention even though she had covered her face with a veil. There was deep worry in her eyes. What are you worried about? Zhao asked. The young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect will most likely head to the secret zone of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Murong Inxue hesitated. Don't worry. He won't dare to do anything to you. You're mine now. If he's really reckless, I might not be able to defeat a celestial king, but I can easily kill the young master of the Azure Dragon Sect. Zhao Hao said indifferently. Thank you, Holy Son. I'll definitely do my best to help you find the celestial herbs. There was a trace of gratitude in Murong Inshue's eyes as she said seriously. I hope so. Zhao Hao looked into the distance. There, the mountain range was undulating, exuding an ancient and desolate aura. There seemed to be an ancient sword suspended in the sky. The ancient sword was an incomparably huge celestial mountain, suspended high in the sky. Mist was rising, and celestial light shone brightly. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. Even from far away, one could feel a strong sword intent rushing towards them. Many people with weak willpower could not help but tremble and turn pale. They had arrived at the Hanging Sword Mountain. P.S. Mu Yu's new book, Righteous Eldest Senior Brother, has been released at the same time on Chidian Reading and QQ Reading. If you have time, you can check it out. It's a flirtatious and funny story. I hope you like it. The Summit. Chapter 34:11. The ancient immortal mountain that looked like a sword was the Hanging Sword Mountain. From afar, the Hanging Sword Mountain looked like it was hanging above the 9 heavens. It exuded an extremely powerful sword chi that could even kill a true immortal. The secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain was rumored to be a mysterious world formed by the body of an immortal emperor after his death. In the past, there were many experts who wanted to enter the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain to search for the immortal emperor's inheritance. However, most of them failed. There were even immortal kings who wanted to enter the secret realm directly. However, they were severely injured by the sword chi and had to flee with injuries. As time passed, although the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain would produce many treasures, no experts above the true immortal realm dared to have any ideas about the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Every time the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain opened, the various forces would send experts below the true immortal realm to enter. Is that the Hanging Sword Mountain? It's really extraordinary. Feeling the powerful sword chi, Jian Qingmei's eyes revealed a hint of eagerness. Perhaps she could obtain a powerful sword inheritance in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Moreover, those who entered the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain this time were all monstrous geniuses from the 3 continents. She would have plenty of opportunities to test her sword. Sush. The Void Treasure ship landed on the Hanging Sword Mountain. Around the Hanging Sword Mountain, there was a sea of clouds and immortal light lingered. Vast sword chi rose. Those who did not have a strong Tao heart would find it difficult to move. In front of everyone, there seemed to be a sword chi that pierced through the heavens and earth. An illusory door appeared. When the Zhao family arrived, they realized that the experts from the Northern Bright Continent and Azure Dragon Continent had also arrived. The Northern Bright Continent was led by the Daming Immortal Empire, while the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect led by the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect. Other than that, there were also some monstrous geniuses and rogue cultivators from the 2 continents. However, they were all led by the 2 major forces. Their leader was also a true immortal. They exchanged glances with one another, their expressions incomparably cold. The 3 continents were neighbors and their relationship was not good to begin with. Hence, they did not even bother to exchange greetings. Zhao Hao's eyes sharpened as he immediately noticed 2 figures standing out among the Baiming continent and the Canglong continent, emitting powerful auras. In the Baiming region, there was a refined young man in a dragon robe and a jade crown. He had a faint smile on his face and his eyes were deep. However, Zhao Hao could sense the lofty aura emanating from his body. It was as if a true immortal was looking down on all living beings. There was a very subtle sense of alienation. This person was very proud in his bones and was not as peaceful as he looked on the surface. In the Azure Dragon region, there was a young man who looked incomparably handsome. He wore a black dragon robe and looked a little sick. His face was incomparably evil and his eyes were filled with an aggressive light, which made people feel very uncomfortable when they looked at him. That man with the jade crown is the crown prince of the Great Ming Immortal Empire, Zhu Qizong. The person from the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect is the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, Mu Yunfeng. Uncle Yun's voice entered Zhao Hao's ears as he introduced the 2 people to him. While Zhao Hao was observing Zhu Qizong and Mu Yunfeng, they were also observing Zhao Hao. Zhu Qizong smiled at Zhao Hao as if he was expressing goodwill. Mu Yunfeng, on the other hand, didn't look so friendly. He looked at Zhao Hao with disdain before his gaze landed on Murong Inshue. His eyes lit up. Murong Inshue? Are you here to seek refuge with this young master? Get over here. If you serve this young master well, this young master might let you be my concubine. Mu Yunfeng stared at Murong Inshue unscrupulously and sneered. Don't even think about it. Murong Inshue's face was incomparably cold as she revealed an expression of incomparable hatred. It was because of Mu Yunfeng that her Murong family was annihilated. Now, she was the only one left. If it wasn't for the hatred in her heart, she would have chosen to commit suicide long ago. Now that she saw Mu Yunfeng, it could be said that she was enraged when she saw her enemy. Bitch! Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Do you think that this pretty boy can protect you? He's only a half-step supreme being. If I want to kill him, it'll be as easy as crushing an ant. Mu Yunfeng sneered, then looked at Zhao Hao provocatively. Zhao Hao's expression was very calm. He wasn't angered by Mu Yunfeng's provocation. You're Mu Yunfeng? Murong Inxue is now my woman. If you don't want to die, then get lost. Don't be an eyesore in front of me. Zhao Hao said indifferently. Your woman? Pa. Zhao Hao, you dare to steal my woman? You're dead. I swear, once we reach the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, I'll be the first to kill you. Mu Yunfeng sneered as his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Is that so? Then let's see who dies first. Zhao Hao said indifferently. Although Zhu Qizong and Mu Yunfeng's cultivation were both at the 9th level of the Supreme Being realm, they probably wanted to use the fortune and opportunity in the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain to break through to the true immortal realm. However, Zhao Hao didn't care about the 9th level of the Supreme Being realm. When he was born, he already had the cultivation of the Supreme Being realm. His strength was extremely heaven-defying. Although he had been recultivating all these years, it wasn't like he hadn't killed Supreme Being realm experts before. Uncle Yun and the true immortal from the Azure Dragon Immortal sect looked on coldly. They didn't stop Zhao Hao and Mu Yunfeng from exchanging words. Although the Zhao family and the Azure Dragon Immortal sect weren't mortal enemies, they weren't friends either. If there was a chance, they wouldn't hesitate to kill each other. Zhao Hao believed that before Mu Yunfeng came, the people from the Azure Dragon Immortal sect had warned him to kill Zhu Qizong and Zhao Hao if there was a chance. After all, the three of them were the successors of the three immortal king families. If they died in the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, it would be a great loss. Rumble. In front of them, the illusory light gate became more solid. Bright immortal light rose and lightning flashed. An ancient and mysterious aura gushed out. In the ancient light gate, there was a strange distortion of the void energy. Various mysterious phenomena vaguely appeared as though it led to an unknown space. The secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain has opened. The three true immortal realm experts and the three forces couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. When we enter the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, according to the token that I gave you, Jian Qingmei and Tuoba Yi will be the leaders. Quickly gather and search for opportunities. Murong Inxue and I have some matters to attend to. We'll look for you after we're done. Zhao Hao transmitted his voice to Tuoba Yi, Jian Qingmei, and the other genius disciples of the Zhao family. Yes. Everyone responded in unison. Wait a moment. Hold my hand tightly. Zhao Hao extended his hand toward Murong Inxue. His eyes were clear and there were no distracting thoughts in them. There was a mysterious rune in his palm that could lock him and Murong Inxue together. They wouldn't be restricted by the teleportation formation. Zhao Hao needed Murong Inxue to lead him to the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Therefore, he asked the old ancestor to use a great ability to bind him and Murong Inxue together. Yes. Murong Inxue's face turned red. However, she still placed her delicate hand in Zhao Hao's hand. Bitch. I swear that you'll die. Seeing this scene, Mu Yunfeng was even more furious. His eyes revealed an incomparably crazy killing intent. If it weren't for the Zhao family's true immortal realm expert, he would have attacked Zhao Hao long ago. After all, the strength of a true immortal realm expert was extremely terrifying. It was easy for them to kill a supreme being expert. Even the true immortal of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would find it difficult to protect him. However, Mu Yunfeng swore in his heart that he would kill Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue. Sush, sush, sush. Zhu Qizong led the geniuses of the Great Radiance Immortal Empire and transformed into streams of light, flying into the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Mu Yunfeng looked at Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue threateningly before he led the people of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect into the light door. Let's go! Zhao Hao grabbed Murong Inshue's hand and stepped into the void as they entered the light door. Boom! Before their eyes was an expanse of resplendent and dazzling immortal light. Spatial torrents surged violently and interweaved with each other in a strange trajectory. If it wasn't for the protection of the immortal light, even Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue would have been torn into pieces by those spatial torrents. The strange scene in front of them only lasted for a moment. When the scene in front of Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue became incomparably clear, they appeared in an unfamiliar space. In front of them was a barren mountain range that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles. They couldn't see the end of it. There were towering ancient trees everywhere. Although the immortal qi here was incomparably dense, it was filled with an incomparably ancient aura. It was as if no one had been here for countless years. Other than Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue, Zhao Hao sensed that there wasn't a single person within hundreds of thousands of miles. Roar! Just when Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue were still investigating their surroundings, a furious roar resounded and shook the void in all directions. A huge crimson tiger with a pair of wings on its back that was shrouded in flames rushed out from the forest. Its eyes were ferocious and cold as it pounced toward Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue. You're courting death. Zhao Hao's eyes turned cold as a terrifying aura of blood qi erupted from his body. Endless chaotic light rose as he suddenly threw a punch. It was as if a mysterious world had been opened up from the chaos. The unparalleled chaotic fist seal landed directly on the Crimson Tiger. A mournful cry rang out. The Crimson Tiger originally possessed strength comparable to a supreme being. However, it was instantly killed by Zhao Hao's punch. It exploded into a bloody mist, and even its primordial spirit was reduced to dust. So powerful! Murong Inxue exclaimed. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. Although she knew that Zhao Hao was an innate supreme being, Zhao Hao's current strength was only at the half-step supreme being realm. Previously, she still had her doubts. In fact, she was even more worried when she saw Mu Yunfeng. However, now that she saw Zhao Hao killing a ferocious beast comparable to a supreme being with a casual punch, she was instantly shocked. It seemed like Zhao Hao was far stronger than she had imagined. Let's go! The Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory isn't that big. Where are the Emperor-grade celestial herbs? Zhao Hao pulled Murong Inxue along as they turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Behind them, the bloody stench left behind by the Crimson Tiger's death had attracted a large number of ferocious beasts. They rushed out from the surrounding forest and let out earth-shattering roars. My father entered the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory the last time it opened. He passed through a valley and entered a secluded cave abode. There was a celestial formation there, and the Emperor-grade celestial herb was inside. Murong Inxue quickly explained. She knew that if her father had discovered the Emperor-grade celestial herb, others might have discovered it as well. Therefore, she and Zhao Hao had to hurry up and find the Emperor-grade celestial herb first. You lead the way. Zhao Hao brought Murong Inxue with him as they traveled through the mountains like two bolts of lightning. There were many powerful ferocious beasts in the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory. It could be said that danger lurked everywhere. Rumor had it that even immortal beasts roamed the place. With their current strength, they might be able to put up a fight against the ferocious beasts. However, if they encountered an immortal beast comparable to a true celestial, they might not even be able to escape. Therefore, both of them concealed their auras and flew carefully. Murong Inxue guided Zhao Hao according to her memories. It did not take long for them to find the valley her father had come to in the past. There's a mirror lake in front of the valley. There are two mountain peaks that look like broken swords, and there are red maple trees growing on the mountain peaks. That's right, it's that valley. Murong Inshue's eyes lit up as she pointed at the valley in front of them. Alright. Gu Changxing instantly teleported with Murong Inxue and landed in the valley. Hundreds of flowers were blooming in the valley. The scenery was beautiful. However, the flowers and plants were very ordinary. There was nothing special about them. Even if someone passed by, they would not pay much attention to them. Murong Inshue led the way as the two of them walked into the valley. The valley was longer than they had expected. They walked to the end of the valley and passed through the Line Canyon. Finally, they saw a cave that led to the belly of the mountain. There was an underground river flowing out from the cave. They entered the cave and walked against the underground river as they made their way to the belly of the mountain. The belly of the mountain was getting darker. However, there was a faint light flickering in front of them. That light should be the light of the immortal formation. Let's go quickly. The Emperor-grade immortal herb is hidden inside. Murong Inshue's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Immortal formation? Zhao Hao's eyes flashed. Although Murong Inshue said that it was the light of the immortal formation, he felt uneasy for some reason. The faint light made him feel as if it was the eye of some powerful creature. It made his hair stand on end. However, since they had already come this far, Zhao Hao still chose to check it out first. They walked toward the faint light. The surroundings were extremely quiet. Only the sound of the underground river could be heard clearly. After walking for an unknown amount of time, the faint light gradually became clear. A huge underground cave appeared in front of them. The light was misty with immortal qi. It looked very strange as it enveloped the underground cave. There seemed to be a mysterious immortal herb in the underground cave. It was enshrouded in immortal light and mist. They could smell its fragrance even through the immortal formation. Saint, that's the Emperor-grade immortal herb. Murong Inshue took a deep breath and pointed at the mysterious immortal herb in the immortal formation. Zhao Hao nodded slowly. Murong Inshue was right. It was indeed an Emperor-grade immortal herb. An Emperor-grade immortal herb was created by heaven and earth. It contained the eternal heavenly Tao and would emit 10 rays of immortal light. The immortal herb in front of them had 10 rays of immortal light. It was undoubtedly an Emperor-grade immortal herb. Back then, my father wanted to break this immortal formation but failed. That was why he left with regrets. I believe that the saint will have a way to break this immortal formation. Murong Inshue looked at Zhao Hao and said, "Let me try." Zhao Hao did not act rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the immortal formation in front of him. The immortal formation formed a transparent barrier that enveloped the entire cave. The immortal light was enshrouded in mist and looked flawless. Ordinary people would not be able to find a way to break this immortal formation. Light flashed in Zhao Hao's palm and the Origin Ancient Seal appeared. The Origin Ancient Seal also contained the eternal heavenly Tao origin. It was extremely powerful and could break all techniques with a single seal. Although the immortal formation in front of him was powerful, it could not withstand the power of the Origin Ancient Seal. Boom! Zhao Hao's eyes flashed. He raised the Origin Ancient Seal and slammed it down on the immortal formation. The immortal formation shook violently. Dazzling runes appeared and shattered continuously. The entire immortal formation seemed like it would collapse at any moment. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. Boom! 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 Zhao Hao raised the Origin Ancient Seal and slammed it down on the immortal formation. The immortal formation shook continuously. The runes shattered and the light dimmed. In the end, it shattered with a loud bang. So fast! Murong Inshue sucked in a breath of cold air. Her eyes were filled with shock. Although she did not recognize the Origin Ancient Seal, she could vaguely guess that the Origin Ancient Seal in Zhao Hao's hand was Zhao Hao's legendary lifetime treasure. Back then, her father, who was a 9th-level Supreme Being, could not break the immortal formation. However, Zhao Hao, who was only a half-step Supreme Being, could break it in an instant. The power of his lifetime treasure was indeed terrifying. The Origin Immortal Herb appeared in front of Zhao Hao and Murong Inshue. It was a 3-foot-tall immortal herb. Its entire body was emerald green and its leaves seemed to be branded with the Great Tao. A fiery red fruit grew in the middle of the immortal herb. It was crystal clear and fragrant, and one would feel refreshed after taking a whiff of it. Is this an Emperor-grade immortal herb? Saint, quickly take the immortal herb. Murong Inshue's eyes were filled with joy as she hurriedly urged Zhao Hao. All right, I will take the immortal herb, Zhao Hao said with a faint smile as he walked toward the immortal herb. A cold glint flashed in Zhao Hao's eyes as he approached the celestial herb. The origin source seal in his palm instantly blossomed with a dazzling radiance. Thunder rumbled as it directly suppressed the celestial herb. What? Murong Inshue exclaimed. She did not understand why Zhao Hao would suddenly attack the emperor-grade immortal herb. Boom. However, Murong Inshue was shocked in the next moment. The immortal herb suddenly emitted a black demonic light as if it contained a deadly poison. The immortal herb that was originally glowing with immortal light suddenly transformed into a strange demonic herb. The demonic herb had tentacles and a bloody mouth. The tentacles and the bloody mouth attacked Zhao Hao and Murong Inshue at the same time. Something is indeed strange. Zhao Hao sneered. He was not surprised at all. The origin ancient seal suppressed the immortal herb at lightning speed. At the same time, rays of blazing light that seemed capable of destroying everything landed on the demonic herb. Rumble. The tentacles shattered as the demonic herb trembled violently. It let out a sharp sound that seemed capable of piercing one's primordial spirit. Murong Inshue's face turned pale instantly. The silhouette of a beautiful woman appeared above the demonic herb. She had a vicious expression on her face. The origin ancient seal hovered above the demonic herb as it emitted beams of lightning that trapped the demonic herb in the middle like a prison. Although the demonic herb's demonic might was overwhelming, it was unable to break through the shackles of the origin ancient seal. The phantasmal demon celestial herb? It's really you? Zhao Hao said indifferently. The phantasmal demon celestial herb was also a celestial herb. However, it was not an emperor-grade celestial herb. It was only a mediocre celestial herb. However, the phantasmal demon celestial herb was extremely unique. It could imitate the aura of countless living beings, including king-grade and emperor-grade celestial herbs. Therefore, it had disguised itself as an emperor-grade celestial herb to lure Zhao Hao into the trap. However, it did not expect Zhao Hao to see through it. How did you see through it? The silhouette of the woman said resentfully as she glared at Zhao Hao. What kind of treasure is an emperor-grade celestial herb? How can it be trapped by such a small celestial formation? If an emperor-grade celestial herb really appears, even a celestial king would have a hard time capturing it unless it's willing to acknowledge you as its master. Moreover, you might be able to fool others by disguising yourself as an emperor-grade celestial herb, but you can't fool me. Zhao Hao said indifferently. He had the origin ancient seal, so he could predict good and bad luck. He had already sensed danger when he approached the celestial formation. Therefore, he knew the phantasmal demon celestial herb was up to no good. Therefore, he made his move without hesitation. What do you want? The phantasmal demon celestial herb asked as it stared at Zhao Hao. Initially, it wanted to take the opportunity to devour Zhao Hao and Murong Inshue. However, it was now trapped by Zhao Hao. It could tell Zhao Hao's origin ancient seal was extraordinary. It was afraid it would not be able to escape today. It's very simple. If you don't want your body and soul to be destroyed, submit to me and bring me to the real emperor-grade celestial herb. Zhao Hao said indifferently as he stared at the phantasmal demon's celestial herb. Submit to you? It's not impossible, but how do you know I'll be able to find the emperor-grade celestial herb? Although the phantasmal demon celestial herb was unwilling, it knew it had no choice but to submit to Zhao Hao if it wanted to live. Otherwise, Zhao Hao would not let it go so easily. Although the phantasmal demon celestial herb can disguise itself as an emperor-grade celestial herb, you'll have to see it before you can do it. Cut the crap and make your choice. Zhao Hao said coldly. If he did not want to find the real emperor-grade celestial herb from the phantasmal demon celestial herb, he would have suppressed it with the origin ancient seal instead of wasting his time talking to it. Chapter 34:12. Alright, I'll submit. I'm willing to bring you to the emperor-grade celestial herb. The illusion demon celestial herb could only nod helplessly. The celestial herb could not swear on the heavenly Tao. Therefore, it allowed Zhao Hao to place a few dozen restrictions on it before it turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue followed behind it to search for the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Lord Saint, how did you know he could find the Emperor-grade celestial herb? Murong Inxue asked curiously and embarrassedly. She had told Zhao Hao confidently that he could find the Emperor-grade celestial herb. However, she did not expect to be fooled by the illusion demon celestial herb. It's true that the illusion demon celestial herb needs to see other celestial herbs before it can take on the appearance of other celestial herbs. However, there's one thing you don't know. Wherever the illusion demon celestial herb is, there's bound to be an emperor-grade celestial herb. Zhao Hao said slowly as his eyes glinted. This was a secret that ordinary people would not know about. Only celestial king clans would know about it. I see. Murong Inxue finally understood. They followed the illusion demon celestial herb out of the valley and into the depths of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm. The old ancestor died in the hands of that villain. The great Ming celestial kingdom is now in a precarious situation. I have to find the celestial emperor's inheritance as soon as possible to save the great Ming celestial kingdom from this crisis. Zhu Qizong concealed his aura in a mountain range as he walked toward an ancient mountain in the distance. His eyes were filled with determination and sharpness. According to the old ancestor's records, the celestial emperor's inheritance might be in this area. However, I don't know how to trigger the celestial emperor's test, so I'll have to look for it carefully. A mysterious ancient mirror appeared in Zhu Qizong's hand with a flicker of light. It was as if the ancient mirror contained the mountains, rivers, and all living things. It emitted a misty immortal glow in the chaotic void. Under the illumination of the ancient mirror, the mountain range in front of them seemed to have been penetrated, revealing the scene inside. This was the celestial artifact of the great Ming celestial kingdom, the profound void mirror. The profound void mirror could see through everything. The great Ming celestial kingdom had paid a heavy price this time. Zhu Qizong brought the profound mirror into the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm to search for the celestial emperor's inheritance. Reporting to young master, we have found Zhu Qizong's location. A ghostly figure in black knelt down on one knee before Mu Yunfeng and spoke respectfully. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your kindness. Zhu Qizong? Very good. I've long known that there's something strange about this brat. It's said that there's an immortal emperor's inheritance in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Could it be that he knows something? Let's go and take a look. If there's really some kind of inheritance, we'll kill him. Mu Yunfeng sneered with a sinister expression. He sat cross-legged in a mysterious valley. Black murderous aura constantly surged into his body, causing his face to reveal an abnormal red color. His face was incomparably cold. Cold light shot out from his eyes, and cold killing intent filled the air. Following his command, many experts from the Azure Dragon Immortal sect followed him and headed in the direction where Zhu Qizong had appeared. A storm was brewing in the secret territory of Hanging Sword Mountain. Due to the entry of the three major forces, the situation had become extremely subtle. However, Zhao Hao did not care about this. What he wanted the most now was to find the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Only by finding the Emperor-grade celestial herb would the old ancestor be able to recover from his injuries and save the Zhao clan from this crisis. The illusion demon immortal herb brought Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue to the depths of the secret territory of Hanging Sword Mountain and finally arrived at a huge lake. The lake before them looked extremely mysterious. It stretched as far as the eye could see, but it was shrouded in colorful lights that contained deadly poison. The Emperor-grade celestial herb is here. My lord, can you let me go after we find the Emperor-grade celestial herb? The illusion demon immortal herb said with a flattering smile. Let you go? That's not impossible. Let's find the Emperor-grade celestial herb first. Zhao Hao's gaze landed on the lake in front of him. There was a strange light in his eyes. Through the origin ancient seal, he could feel that the lake in front of him contained an unfathomable immortal Dao aura. It was vast and unparalleled. Although it was extremely obscure, The aura was even more profound than the old ancestor of the Zhao clan. It seemed like it was the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Don't worry, I'll definitely bring you to the Emperor-grade celestial herb. The illusion demon Immortal Herb swore. Then, it turned into a ray of light and shot toward the depths of the lake. Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue quickly followed. The lake was extremely dangerous. It seemed to contain countless powerful ferocious beasts. Some of them even made the illusion demon Immortal Herb feel weak all over. However, those ferocious beasts did not dare to appear. It was as if they were suppressed by the vast immortal Tao aura in the depths of the lake. All of them hid obediently. Therefore, although the lake seemed to be filled with danger, it was actually extremely safe. If it were not for the suppression of the immortal Tao aura in the depths of the lake, Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue would not have been able to enter the lake. At the center of the lake, a colorful barrier appeared. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. It emitted an ancient and vast immortal Tao aura. An ancient and mysterious immortal herb could be vaguely seen at the center of the barrier. It was surrounded by divine chains of order and immortal Tao runes. It seemed to be able to control the heavens and earth, turning the barrier outside into a world of its own. The immortal herb was filled with purple qi. It looked like a qilin. Its branches and leaves were intertwined. At the head of the qilin, there was a fist-sized fruit that looked like a purple sun. It was mysterious and unfathomable. When Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue saw the immortal herb, they could not move their eyes away. An emperor-grade celestial herb. It was indeed an emperor-grade celestial herb. My lords, this barrier is formed by an emperor-grade celestial herb. Only a true immortal can break it. I've brought you here, but if you can't break the barrier, you can't blame me. The illusory demon Immortal Medicine's eyes darted around as he spoke somewhat uneasily. I know. Zhao Hao nodded as a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Boom. Immortal light shone from his palm. Chaotic light rose, and the origin ancient seal appeared. It emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. The illusion demon Immortal Herb shuddered. It felt its scalp go numb. It was in extreme danger. If the origin ancient seal came at it, it would not be able to resist at all. What a terrifying treasure. What kind of immortal artifact was it? Boom. Zhao Hao waved his hand. Immediately, the origin ancient seal rose into the air and fell towards the dazzling barrier. The heavens and earth shook violently. A crisp sound was heard as the barrier shattered. It broke so easily? Gasp. This treasure is terrifying. The illusion demon Immortal Herb shuddered. Its eyes were filled with fear. It could tell that Zhao Hao had not used his full strength. The origin ancient seal was too terrifying. It possessed the strength of a true immortal. However, Zhao Hao was only a supreme being. How could he control such a treasure? Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue walked into the barrier. The emperor-grade celestial herb in front of them was filled with purple qi. Immortal light gathered and formed the silhouette of a qilin. It looked ancient and mysterious. Zhao Hao's origin ancient seal floated above the emperor-grade celestial herb. It suppressed the emperor-grade celestial herb's aura and prevented it from spreading out. At the same time, it prevented the emperor-grade celestial herb from escaping. After all, the aura of an emperor-grade celestial herb was too terrifying. If it was not suppressed, it would be sensed by others very quickly. At that time, it would be troublesome. Whoosh! At this moment, the illusion demon Immortal Herb appeared behind the emperor-grade celestial herb like a bolt of lightning. Then, it pointed at Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue and said, "Boss, these two bastards asked me to bring them here. They want to capture you. Kill them." Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue were stunned. Rumble. At this moment, the emperor-grade celestial herb suddenly unleashed a terrifying aura that caused the surrounding void to tremble violently. The boundless immortal Tao aura seemed to be able to destroy everything as a ferocious aura spread out. The ancient and mysterious roar seemed to be able to shatter the starry sky. Amidst the purple aura, the emperor-grade celestial herb transformed into a celestial beast shrouded in purple aura. It was a qilin. It looked extremely handsome and its eyes seemed to emit celestial light. His gaze landed on Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue, causing the two of them to tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable terror. Immortal King. Zhao Hao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This aura was undoubtedly that of an immortal king. Even a true immortal would not have such a terrifying aura. However, how could an emperor-grade celestial herb transform into an immortal king? Although emperor-grade celestial herbs were heaven-defying and precious, it was extremely difficult for them to transform. It required heaven-defying luck and fortune. Since ancient times, Zhao Hao had only seen one celestial herb transform in ancient records. That celestial herb had already become a supreme celestial emperor. Now, he had actually seen an emperor-grade celestial herb transform into a celestial king? This was bad. Zhao Hao and Murong Inshue's expressions darkened. They should be thinking about how to escape from the emperor-grade celestial herb, let alone obtain it. Chapter 34:13. Thoughts kept spinning in Zhao Hao's mind as he thought about how to escape. When he left the Zhao clan, the immortal king patriarch Zhao Yunyang had once given him a life-saving trump card. If he summoned the immortal king patriarch now, he might be able to escape this calamity. However, although Zhao Yunyang was an immortal king, his source was damaged. Would he really be a match for this immortal King Qilin? If anything happened to Zhao Yunyang in order to save him, then he would be a sinner of the Zhao clan and wouldn't be able to redeem himself even if he died 100 times. Just as Zhao Hao was thinking about how to escape, the immortal King Qilin's gaze landed on him. Boom! Zhao Hao's body trembled. He felt as if his entire body was frozen. His entire body felt cold as if he was seen through from head to toe. Murong Inshue's face was also incomparably pale. Her entire body was trembling as if she was under great pressure. That pair of purple eyes seemed to have the galaxy flowing, space-time changing, and the mysterious scene of chaos rising, piercing through the ages with a single glance. At this moment, Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue didn't even have the thought of resisting. The immortal King Qilin's gaze was incomparably indifferent. After glancing at Zhao Hao, he suddenly revealed a bewildered expression. He suddenly felt that Zhao Hao's aura was somewhat familiar. It seemed to be the person his master was looking for. Boom! But right at this moment, a loud sound rang out. In the distance, divine light blazed. A blood-soaked figure with runes interweaving around his body pierced through the void and flew over at an extremely fast speed. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Zhao Hao and the immortal King Qilin. It was a handsome and extraordinary young man. He was wearing a purple dragon robe, a jade crown, and a pair of flowing light boots. However, his face was incomparably pale and there was a trace of bright red blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. Zhu Qizong. Zhao Hao was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that the person who came was actually the crown prince of the great Ming Immortal Empire, Zhu Qizong. Zhu Qizong's cultivation was extraordinary and he had many followers. To be able to reward him, could it be him? Right at this moment, an incomparably cold and arrogant voice exploded in the void. Zhu Qizong, where else can you escape to? Obediently stretch out your neck for execution. Otherwise, if you fall into this young lord's hands, you will only beg for death. Behind him, a man in a black dragon robe with an extremely evil face walked over. His entire body emitted a vast dragon's might, and his aura was extremely powerful. Behind him were two armored followers with ice-cold expressions. They were both supreme youths, and their strength wasn't ordinary. It was the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal School, Mu Yunfeng. Zhu Qizong's eyes were filled with rage. He wanted to say something, but when his gaze swept across Zhao Hao and the Qilin Immortal King, he couldn't help but shudder. His eyes were filled with terror. The Qilin Immortal King exuded a Dao aura as immortal light surrounded him. It was as though he was one with the heavens and earth. Even from afar, one wouldn't be able to sense his existence. But in front of the Qilin Immortal King, Zhu Qizong felt as though he was looking at a primordial fiend god. A deep sense of helplessness arose from the depths of his heart. He felt as insignificant as an ant. He couldn't even move his body. He just stood there, frozen. Zhu Qizong, at least you know your place, Mu Yunfeng sneered. He stepped on a ray of light and rapidly approached. He felt that Zhu Qizong's figure was frozen there. He thought that Zhu Qizong didn't dare to escape. A cold smile appeared on his face as he instantly reached the depths of the lake. But in the next moment his body froze. Because a pair of purple eyes were looking at him. That indifferent and mysterious gaze seemed to contain the changes of yin and yang, the mysterious scene of the birth and death of the world. It made him feel as though he had fallen into an ice abyss, and he couldn't help but tremble. This is the aura of an immortal king. How is this possible? How can there be an immortal king in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain? Mu Yunfeng couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. At the same time, he also noticed Zhao Hao and Murong Inshue. He didn't expect that he would encounter the Qilin immortal king with an incomparably terrifying aura while chasing after Zhu Qizong. What should he do now? Mu Yunfeng's heart trembled. At this moment, he didn't hesitate to activate the talisman surrounded by immortal light in his sea of consciousness between his brows and began to call for the ancestor. Only the ancestor could save him. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would really die here today. Boss, these guys are all outsiders. They're deliberately trying to disrupt your cultivation. Why don't we kill all of them? The eyes of the hallucination demon Immortal Herb rolled around before he finally smiled flatteringly at the Qilin Immortal King. Bang! The Qilin Immortal King sent him flying with a slap, causing the hallucination demon Immortal Herb to involuntarily cry out in pain. Quite a bit of its origin immortal qi was scattered. If the Qilin Immortal King hadn't shown mercy, he would have been directly smashed into ashes by the Qilin Immortal King. Noisy! Do I need you to guide me in my actions? The Qilin Immortal King said indifferently. Then he ignored the nervous and terrified Zhu Qizong and Mu Yunfeng. His gaze landed on Zhao Hao, and his eyes revealed an interested expression. What's your name? The Qilin Immortal King asked. His voice was like the sound of the great Tao, mysterious and unfathomable, causing Zhao Hao and the others to tremble and their blood to surge. Zhao Hao, who was incomparably nervous, was slightly stunned. He raised his head and glanced at the Qilin Immortal King. Are you asking me? My name is Zhao Hao, the successor of the Longevity Zhao family. Zhao Hao? You're not called Zhao Ritian? The Qilin Immortal King was slightly stunned, and a trace of suspicion appeared in his eyes. Then he stretched out a purple claw and grabbed at Zhao Hao. Immediately, a strange immortal Tao law enveloped Zhao Hao, and then a strange light was extracted from his body. The Qilin Immortal King placed it at his nose and sniffed it lightly. He was even more puzzled. The aura matches. It's very similar. It's very likely that you're the person Master is looking for. But why aren't you called Zhao Ritian? The Qilin Immortal King muttered to himself. Although he was muttering to himself, it was still like a thunderclap, shaking the void in all directions. Master? Zhao Hao's heart skipped a beat. The master that the Qilin Immortal King was talking about? Could it be that legendary quasi-immortal emperor? Even Zhu Qizong and Mu Yunfeng's faces were pale at this moment, especially Mu Yunfeng. He felt that something was wrong, as if he had kicked an iron plate. It doesn't matter. When Master comes, we'll naturally know. The Qilin Immortal King muttered softly, looking somewhat unintelligent. He glanced at Zhao Hao lazily and said, You are not allowed to leave. You can only leave when my master comes and allows you to leave. Zhao Hao, could this be an undeserved calamity? At the same time, he was also wondering who the master that the Qilin Immortal King was referring to was. And who was the person called Zhao Ritian that he was looking for? At the same time, he realized that even though the Qilin Immortal King was transformed from an emperor-grade immortal herb and had a cultivation comparable to an immortal king, he did not seem to be very smart. Perhaps he could find a way to leave this place? Boom! At that moment, a blazing light rose from the void, and a powerful spatial fluctuation spread out. The void seemed to be torn apart as endless immortal light blossomed. The laws of the great Tao intertwined, and the runes were dazzling. A figure with an incomparably terrifying aura stepped out from the void. It was an old man in a black robe with an incomparably dignified face. His hair and beard were white, and his eyes were extremely cold. A strange Taoist rhyme intertwined around him as if he had merged with the surroundings. Mu Yunfeng shuddered when he saw the old man in a black robe, and an extremely surprised expression appeared on his face. Old Ancestor. The person who came was the immortal king, Old Ancestor of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect. When he sensed the terrifying aura of the Qilin Immortal King, he did not hesitate and decisively contacted the Immortal King Old Ancestor through the Immortal Tao Talisman in his Sea of Consciousness. He did not expect the Immortal King Old Ancestor to come so quickly. The transformation of an Emperor-grade immortal herb. The heavens are really helping me. The Immortal King Old Ancestor of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect was named Mu Chinkuan. When his eyes landed on the Qilin Immortal King, he could not help but shudder. He could immediately tell that the Qilin Immortal King's true form was an Emperor-grade immortal herb. His gaze instantly became incomparably fiery. The Qilin in front of him was the transformation of an Emperor-grade immortal herb. Moreover, it did not look like it had transformed for long, and its cultivation had only reached the Immortal King realm. If he could obtain this Emperor-grade immortal herb, he might be able to take another step forward and even have a glimpse of the legendary realm. This was a supreme fortune that he could not miss out on. He did not expect an Emperor-grade immortal herb to appear in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Where did this old thing come from? How dare you disturb my cultivation? Why aren't you scramming? The Qilin Immortal King's eyes flashed sharply. He could sense the greed in Mu Chinkuan's eyes and immediately said angrily, "Evil creature, how dare you be so impudent in front of me?" That murderous intent flashed in Mu Chinkuan's eyes. Without hesitation, he roared and instantly attacked the Qilin Immortal King. Rumble! Immortal light rose around him as a dragon-shaped whip that was intertwined with 5-colored immortal light appeared in his palm. It contained an unparalleled might as it lashed out at the Qilin Immortal King. This was the Azure Dragon Whip, an immortal king weapon that he had refined. It was extremely powerful, and when the whip lashed out, it seemed to be able to shatter thousands of worlds. It was extremely terrifying. Old thing, how dare you attack me? The Qilin Immortal King was shocked and furious. He could sense that this old man was not to be trifled with. In an instant, he turned into a purple bolt of lightning and teleported into the distance. At the same time, the Qilin horn on his head emitted a purple divine light that seemed to have filled the great thousand worlds. It contained a terrifying lightning that could destroy everything as it charged towards the Azure Dragon Whip. Boom! The void trembled as the Azure Dragon Whip directly shattered the purple divine light. Then, it smashed down towards the Qilin Immortal King. Mu Chinkuan was determined to take away this Emperor-grade immortal herb. He was a veteran immortal king, and his cultivation had already reached the 6th heaven of the Immortal King realm. With an immortal king weapon like the Azure Dragon Whip in his hand, he was extremely powerful. Naturally, the Qilin Immortal King was not his match. Not to mention, although the Qilin Immortal King was an Emperor-grade immortal herb in human form and was extremely powerful, he didn't have any powerful attacking methods. Under Mu Chinkuan's attack, he quickly fell into a disadvantage. The Immortal King Patriarch of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect is actually so strong? Zhao Hao's body trembled as an incomparably solemn expression appeared in his eyes. When Mu Yunfeng saw this scene, he was relieved. His eyes were full of pride and arrogance as he worshipped Lin Fan. An Immortal King Patriarch could suppress everything. His strength was boundless. In his opinion, not only would their Azure Dragon Immortal Sect be able to destroy the great Ming Immortal Kingdom very quickly, even the longevity Zhao family might fall in their hands. Old thing, you dare to attack me? When Master arrives, you will definitely die. The Qilin Immortal King said angrily. Master? Who is your master? Mu Chenkuan's heart trembled slightly. The master of an emperor-grade immortal herb was at least a powerful immortal king. Could it be that this emperor-grade immortal herb already had a master? My master is extremely talented and is a great existence who will definitely become an immortal emperor in the future. If you don't stop now, when my master arrives, he will definitely kill you. The Qilin immortal king laughed arrogantly, his eyes filled with fanaticism and worship. This old man isn't a coward. Today, I'll suppress you first. I want to see who your master is. If he doesn't know what's good for him, I'll suppress him as well. Mu Chenkuan sneered. He was at the 6th heaven of the immortal king realm. With the azure dragon whip in his hand, he was extremely powerful. Even if he was facing an expert at the 7th or 8th heaven of the immortal king realm, he would still have the strength to fight. Naturally, he wouldn't be scared away by a single sentence from the Qilin immortal king. He wanted to take down the Qilin immortal king in one go. After all, it was an emperor-grade immortal herb. That was something that even quasi-immortal emperors would fight for. At most, he would just suppress the Qilin immortal king and return to the Azure Dragon immortal sect to cultivate in seclusion. Is that so? At this moment, a calm and indifferent voice exploded in the void. Rumble! A chaotic fist mark tore through the void in an instant and descended from the 9 heavens. It was like a dazzling sun that wanted to obliterate everything. That kind of domineering and peerless sharpness that could suppress everything made the Azure Dragon immortal king, Mu Chenkuan's body tremble violently. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. That kind of power gave him the illusion that he couldn't fight against it. He hurriedly took out the Azure Dragon whip to block it. Immortal light shattered and runes exploded. Heaven and earth seemed to be completely destroyed at this moment as endless chaotic airflow surged violently. Mu Chenkuan's body trembled violently. The Azure Dragon whip in his hand actually flew out at this moment. His entire body seemed to have been struck by lightning. His arm was broken, revealing eerie white bones. Blood filled the air as he flew out horizontally. What? Zhao Hao, Murong Inxue, Zhu Qizong and Mu Yunfeng were all stunned. Even someone as powerful as Mu Chenkuan couldn't withstand that unparalleled chaotic fist mark. Just what kind of great existence was that? Master, you're finally back. The Qilin immortal king's body trembled. His eyes were filled with incomparable excitement as he couldn't help but shout. Amidst the resplendent immortal light that filled the sky, the flower of Tao bloomed. Mysterious sound waves interweaved, like a mysterious scene at the beginning of the world. A figure descended from the sky. That figure landed on the Qilin immortal king's back. He stepped on the void, his white robes fluttering in the air. There seemed to be endless light rising around him. Tens of thousands of Tao auras interweaved and filled the air. Anyone who saw that figure couldn't help but tremble and have the intention to submit. Chapter 34:14. That figure seemed to have walked out from the long river of time. With a raise of his hand, he could open up endless worlds and reverse boundless time and space. His white robes were peerless and otherworldly, as if he existed in another space-time. At the same time, that incomparably powerful immortal Tao pressure was like the arrival of an immortal emperor, instantly suppressing the surrounding laws of heaven and earth. It was majestic and mysterious. At this moment, even the Azure Dragon immortal king, who was sent flying by the punch, trembled all over and felt his heart palpitate. Who exactly are you? The Azure Dragon immortal king asked, his face filled with shock and anger. That figure ignored the Azure Dragon immortal king. In his eyes, there seemed to be the mysterious scene of the galaxy vanishing and chaos opening as his gaze landed on Zhao Hao. Zhao Ritian, we meet again. That figure let out a slightly joyful and ancient voice that resounded between heaven and earth. Being looked at by this mysterious immortal king, Zhao Hao was also incomparably nervous. At this moment, when he heard the voice, he couldn't help but raise his head and say with a bitter smile, Senior, I'm Zhao Hao, not Zhao Ritian. Previously, the Qilin immortal king had said that he was Zhao Ritian, And now, the Qilin Immortal King's master, this mysterious immortal king, also said that he was Zhao Ritian. Zhao Hao was also incomparably depressed. This was because he suddenly realized that if his name was taken apart, wouldn't it be Zhao Ritian? Zhao Hao? It seems that there is heaven's will in the unseen world. Don't worry, you will be soon. The mysterious immortal king said with a faint smile. At this moment, Zhao Hao realized that the mysterious immortal king was actually a peerless young man in white. He looked handsome and elegant, and he had a jade-like temperament, far surpassing those so-called geniuses that Zhao Hao had seen before. Even Zhao Hao felt a sense of inferiority in front of this mysterious immortal king. This king is asking you a question. Who exactly are you? Could it be that you are the one who killed the great light immortal king and returned from the Chaos Sea? The Azure Dragon Immortal King was furious when he saw that he was ignored by the mysterious immortal king. However, he suddenly thought of something, and his eyes revealed an incomparably shocked expression. The mysterious immortal king in the Chaos Sea had killed the great light immortal king. If that was the case, then everything made sense. However, how could such an extraordinary and supreme figure possibly appear in such a desolate and barren place like the Chaos Sea? The mysterious immortal king of the Chaos Sea? Hearing those words, Zhao Hao, Murong Inxue, Mu Yunfeng and Zhu Qizong all revealed incomparably shocked expressions. This was especially so for Zhu Qizong. The reason why their great Ming immortal empire fell to such a state was because the great Ming immortal king was killed by someone. No wonder he was able to make the Qilin immortal king, an emperor-grade immortal medicine, become his servant. Such a character was truly terrifying. Noisy! A cold light flashed in the mysterious immortal king's eyes. Then he lightly slapped the Azure Dragon Immortal King. This palm was actually incomparably arrogant, directly slapping towards the Azure Dragon Immortal King's face. The Azure Dragon Immortal King's eyes were instantly filled with towering rage. With a sudden roar, his blood and chi surged as immortal light bloomed. An incomparably mysterious true dragon of the immortal Tao appeared behind him. He suddenly pushed out with both hands. The true dragon of the immortal Tao emitted a vast and terrifying aura. It was insufferably arrogant as it instantly charged towards the mysterious immortal king. This was the Azure Dragon's great immortal technique, and also the Azure Dragon Immortal King's most powerful immortal technique. At this moment, he was forced into a corner by the mysterious immortal king in front of him, so he directly erupted with it. Boom! However, the difference between the two was too great. The mysterious immortal king's light palm strike seemed to contain endless primal chaos void, encompassing all the worlds in the heavens. It directly smashed the true dragon of the immortal Tao into dust. At the same time, the palm strike didn't lose its momentum. It ruthlessly slapped the Azure Dragon Immortal King's face, instantly sending him flying. This palm strike didn't cause much damage to the Azure Dragon Immortal King. With the Immortal King's powerful recovery ability, it could be said that he recovered in an instant. However, to an immortal king, this was simply a great humiliation. Zhao Hao and the others were completely stunned. To be able to treat an immortal king as nothing and casually humiliate him, just how powerful was this mysterious immortal king in the Chaos Sea? Damn it! Although you are powerful, this is the territory of the Truth Immortal Court. Do you really think you can cover the sky with one hand? If I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human. The Azure Dragon Immortal King was furious, and his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. Boom! At this moment, an immortal talisman in his palm was instantly crushed by him. Then, the void in the distance trembled violently and was directly torn apart. 3 figures with incomparably terrifying auras directly appeared in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. 3 lords, this person is the person who killed the great light immortal king and came from the Chaos Sea. Please make a move and completely kill him. When the Azure Dragon Immortal King saw the 3 figures, he also bowed and said, 3 ninth heavenly layer immortal kings, huh? They actually didn't send out a quasi-immortal emperor. How boring! Do you think that you can take me down with just these few pieces of trash? The mysterious immortal king chuckled, his voice filled with careless mockery. How dare you? One of the immortal kings roared. These 3 immortal kings were all experts sent by the Truth Immortal Court. After learning that the great light immortal king was killed, the Truth Immortal Court was furious and immediately sent out 3 supreme experts. These 3 were also the 3 war kings of the Truth Immortal Court. They controlled the army of the Truth Immortal Court and were extremely powerful. They sent the 3 of them with the intention of completely killing the Immortal King in the Chaos Sea in one go. The reason why the Azure Dragon Immortal King was fearless was that he had the immortal talisman given by the 3 Immortal Kings, which could instantly summon the 3 Immortal Kings. Reckless fool, are you the one who killed the Great Light Immortal King? Quickly kneel down and surrender. Otherwise, when I make a move, you will definitely die. Another Immortal King said coldly. Emperor-grade immortal medicine? What a good fortune. I didn't expect there to be such a precious treasure. Brothers, after killing this bastard, the Emperor-grade immortal medicine will be enough for the 3 of us to take another step forward and enter the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. The 3rd Immortal King's gaze landed on the Chilan Immortal King, and it was filled with a blazing light. This was an Emperor-grade immortal medicine. Even an immortal emperor would be tempted, let alone 3 immortal kings. They looked at the mysterious immortal king with incomparably cold eyes. They were determined to kill him not only because he killed the great light immortal king, but also because of the emperor-grade immortal medicine. You talk too much nonsense. Since there are only 3 of you, then you can all die. The mysterious immortal king sneered, and then he took a step forward and punched out. He was actually not afraid at all and directly attacked the 3 immortal kings. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.